Did you guys get a countdown? Because I did not get a countdown.
Yeah, I saw it.
No, cool. That means we're live. Isn't that fun? Oh,
Kinda
give
weird
it a
having
minute for it to
articulated
catch up
wrists
through
and not the
YouTube and
rest
all
of it.
that bullshit. God
I don't
damn.
know.
Look at that. It's a toy. This isn't drinks and toys.
Oh,
Blasphemy.
Yeah, so Tony, that thing that you were showing is 1997 Terminator 2 15-inch electronic endoskeleton. And what I had was the Kenner talking Ultimate Terminator 2 figure from 1992.
Huh.
Yeah,
I
no,
can't tell you where I got this from, honestly. I think I found it in like a bin or something.
yeah. No, I found it on eBay here.
Oh well. All right, you guys ready to get into this?
No,
Yeah, go for it.
not
Oh,
really.
never mind. Just kidding.
Well then, fuck you.
No, I mean I'm ready to get into it, but I'm not ready to hear Tony talk about Schwarzerdong for 15 minutes or more. Like that's
Listen. Give the man credit where
something-
credit is due.
All right, so
not
before we
something
get
I'm
into all that, we don't want to spoil everybody. Like, welcome to Collector's Hideout, the podcast where we talk about different shit every week. It seems. It's just usually the three of us. Usually we have some other friends. We come in, we have a couple drinks, have some good laughs, and the main goal is to get away from the real world of bullshit that is going on and have some peace and fun. Tonight I'm joined by Mr. Psycho. How you doing, brother?
doing well. How's it going?
It's fucking cold as shit. Where it's going. I know if we have any fans like in the northern states, they're like, "Oh, Florida, you guys are just a bunch of bitches," but it's fucking cold. And we also got Mr. Shellhead Tony here. How you doing, man?
Good.
Awesome.
One jazz hand.
I had no plans for what to discuss tonight. Then on Drinks and Toys, well, before Drinks and Toys, Tony had messaged me raving like a lunatic about Terminator. He hadn't seen it in a long time, and he watched it and he saw some things he liked, and he saw something he really liked. So he requested that we discuss the movie tonight.
That is not about how this is going to go. Just saying.
He requested that we discuss the movie tonight. This isn't a normal watches episode because I didn't have time to watch Terminator. But I've seen it a lot, so we should be fine. I haven't seen it probably within the past couple of years, but we're going to see where this goes. We might be joined later by Joe. Who knows? But he might pop in.
What about J5?
I didn't even message him. You know
Oh.
what? That's my bad. My bad, Johnny. Whoops.
He had
You're
mentioned
always
something
welcome.
about
He can
jumping
pop in
on, but I
anytime
don't know
if
if he's
he
going to.
wants. He's more than welcome. Always. So, Terminator. Where do you want to start? The elephant in the room, or you
I don't literally. Woo, it's a trunk. No, man. So,
Why? Damn it, man.
so I watched the first one, and like I watched both in the same night, and like I don't know what even told me to go watch the Terminator. I'm just like, you know what? I was bored. I couldn't think of anything to watch, and I'm just like, you know what? Screw it. For some reason, it popped in my head. I don't know if I saw something that reminded me of or what. So I watched the first Terminator, and
were you like watching like porn, and did you think of it?
yeah, that's what did it.
Jesus.
Oh, I mean,
I didn't know the other thing until I watched the movie. Let's just throw that out there. So, and then you brought up a good point anyway. But see, I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch Terminator. So I start watching it, and it might have been because have you seen all the stupid memes lately, where they keep showing like Sarah Connor and she's, getting. They keep making all the stupid memes with her face and she's when they're in the hotel scene.
No.
I've not seen those memes. No.
How am I the only person that's seen these memes? So they're posting all these
probably
like
not
stupid
real.
memes, and it's like, hey, when your car insurance is too high, and it shows her like that face she makes when she's getting from behind by him.
I've seen the ones with like Tara Reid
No, it was definitely her. So
and Riley Reid as well. Riley Reid, I've seen that one a lot.
yeah, and Reed Richards, whatever. But I'm watching.
I mean, maybe.
So I put on the movie, and I will say this: I totally forgot about some of the like effects in the movie. That I get it; it's the time, right? It's '87, I think it was. The movie came out, so
sounds
you
right.
got to think, huh?
It sounds right.
So you got to think about like what they had available to them for special effects. You know who was doing what at the time and whatever. And this isn't like normal special effects. Like I hate to like take away from other movies that did certain things well, but this was special effects of like I feel at the time it was harder to do special effects for mechanical reasons without it looking like a puppet. Right? Okay. So how are you going to make a life-size skeleton walking along with an assault rifle and not have it look like a puppet, but also not have it look like somebody drew this thing and people are standing in front of it? If that makes sense. Like you remember way back early RoboCop. So like I think RoboCop, they didn't do such a great job with it. The good movies, don't get me wrong, the movie's fine, but the effects, you could tell that it was a puppet that they took a bunch of like still frame images of, and then that was the scene for the for the creature.
They did basically motion capture, not motion capture,
like stop motion.
Yeah, stop motion. Thank you.
I never felt that way with most of the Terminator, and that might just be where they took the shots from. That it was just the shots were taken in such a way that you couldn't get that impression. Except there's one or two scenes where you see the Terminator like take his arm back like this and hit somebody or whatever.
Right.
That you could see it as a stop motion scene, but I didn't feel like most of it was like that.
I don't know. I watched it pretty recently, but obviously not as recently as you did. The whole factory scene at the end, when you see the Terminator walking, it feels like that. When the Terminator comes out of the fire from the truck explosion, and like his skin is melted away and he starts walking, in my opinion, it absolutely looked like stop animation. So like all those scenes, I mean, it's not bad. Like it's definitely not low quality, but it wasn't seamless from my perspective, from what I saw. Like you could definitely tell what was going on.
I guess like more of my disappointment came from the beginning where they're showing Kyle Reese, like he's like a first person you see, right? And he's running like, I don't know what you call it, like through a war zone, right? Or through the apocalyptic world. And what was this? But I know it was for the time, but the only thing that was disappointing about that is you could clearly tell they had a video running in the background and they had a scene set up in front of that backdrop. So like, not nearly this bad, but like in sitcoms, like, there's two people and it's a comedy and they get in a car and you can see that they're driving, but everything behind them looks like it's, a silly kind of thing. So I know it's that same idea. That's how they get the image. But when you're watching it, they move in such a way that, I mean, I could still tell it was a screen, but they move in such a way that they take an area that is maybe, I'm going to give it 150 feet wide, right? Maybe.
Okay.
100 to 150 feet wide. And that might be giving it a lot of stretch. That it's just a moving screen. They've got some junk cars and debris and bullshit that they're it looks like they're running through it, but really they're just zigzagging so much it looks like that they're running this really long distance and they're not. And that at no point do you see them shooting their guns. This is just shit happening around them. Right. So like they didn't even go as far as to give interaction between, I think there's one or two very, very small, quick things where they show like an explosion, right? But that's pyrotechnics. Yeah. But there's no interaction between the Terminators or these big giant machines and the human resistance that you see with them. Whatever you see on a screen is one thing, but you don't see it with the two characters running around.
I see what you're saying. I mean, yeah, things were different back then.
I mean, but there was a lot more going on in that section of the film than that, right? Like it was a mixture of everything. James Cameron didn't use CGI because it sucked. Right? Like in 1984 the CGI sucked. Go back and look at any of the other movies from 1984 where they're using CGI and it looks really bad. From my recollection, he used a lot of miniaturization, right? Like a lot of miniatures and set creation, and then mix that stuff in with stop motion animation and
then movie
obviously
magic,
practical-
camera trickery.
yeah, some practical effects with the car driving, but some of the car driving was actually a remote control car with fake people in it, right? Like it was a lot of that going on that made it look so good that he wanted practical effects, right? And now, I mean, when you get a practical effect, it's crazy because people don't do that anymore.
Well, because it's expensive as shit.
I mean, yeah.
But that's a whole different topic. I was watching something about how movies now with the CGI versus movies that came out in 2010, say Pirates of the Caribbean with what the fuck's his name? The fucking octopus face.
Davy Jones.
Yeah, Davy Jones, how he looks like insanely real. But when you compare the graphics now, 15 years later, it looks better than what they're putting out now. There's a whole thing about the CGI and all that and how it's actually our fault that it looks bad.
Was he CGI or was he just
I think it was a mixture of both, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. So he was like, there was an actor there, but they used that like that's the dots all over the face, and then they use CGI obviously to make the effect of the octopus.
Oh, so like call it what it is. Like, I mean, with oversimplifying it, like Snapchat filter. They just put a filter over the face that's there.
The same way they did like all the Planet of the Apes movies that came out recently, and like Golem. Like it's an actor portraying it and doing the acting, but they superimpose the character on top of him. So you get all the fluid motion and everything and the facial expressions, but it's all CG. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I saw any of the Planet of the Apes movies, the new ones.
I saw the first one and really liked it. I saw the second one and thought it was okay, and then didn't see any of them after that.
Yeah, first one was really good. Second one, I don't remember it. And I don't think I ever saw the third one.
So I didn't care for the older ones. I always felt like those movies that took forever to sit through. And so I feel like that would be the case now. I have like a bad taste in my mouth, even though it's a remake.
Completely different movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll check it out. But
so like before we get back to Terminator, the idea of the newer ones is the rise of the Planet of the Apes. So you see where like it starts from. Exactly. That's going to get us right back in the Terminator. Because like obviously the original ones, you see the Planet of the Apes, and eventually you find out like, oh, he was on Earth the whole time because you see like the Statue of Liberty and all that. This is showing when the apes took over type of thing. So you see them, they're just normal apes getting smarter, and all hell breaks loose. First one's quite entertaining.
Yeah, the first one, first one was great.
I think the worst part of the first one was the fact that it was James Franco.
Was it James Franco?
Yeah, as the scientist.
I didn't see it, man, so I couldn't tell you. But
yeah, no, it was definitely it was a good movie. But so there was a couple different aspects, Tony, when you called me about Terminator that you were like that were really exciting to you. And now you're frozen. Now you're back.
Sorry, I found a better place to put my Terminator than where I've had it before.
In your lap? Oh,
nice.
Yeah, that's a good place for him. Slimer would definitely eat that.
Yeah, it sounds
Slimer eats
right.
anything. But there's a few different aspects that you were really excited about. That you're like, holy shit, I don't remember that. I didn't remember that.
Yeah, so like I didn't remember all of the
character B-list actors.
Yeah, like I'm watching this thing and I'm like every 2 minutes I'm like, holy shit, that's so and so. I'm like, holy shit, that's so and so. And like I should have wrote this all down, but it started out with Bill Paxton, and his view of the movie. And then once we got past Bill Paxton, we had Kyle Reese, who was I don't know his name in real life, but he plays Hicks, right?
Yeah, he plays Hicks. Yep, he plays Hicks.
Hicks and Alien. And then wasn't Bill Paxton an alien?
Yep, he played Hudson.
Okay, so we've got Bill Paxton. We've got the guy who plays Kyle Reese. We've got the fucking detective or whatever at the cop department. Jesus Christ. At the police department. The cop department was
Lance Hendrickson. Yep.
Yeah, it was Bishop.
Yep.
And for a minute I thought it was what did I say? Lennar, what's the dude from RoboCop?
Oh, you thought it was Peter
Pete Weller.
Yeah.
Pete Weller. I swore, I'm watching, I'm like, God, I swear that's Pete Weller. And I'm like looking and looking. I'm like, I don't think it's right. And then I, IMDb'd it or whatever. And so I'm like, okay, I'm totally off. But they kind of both have that jagged face. So I think that's why it did it to me. I used to feel that way about fucking Bruce Willis and what's his name when he was younger? Oh God, Mickey Rourke.
Jesus.
They both kind of had that face.
I can't picture Mickey Rourke younger just because, like, I can picture him like since The Wrestler.
Did you ever see Harley Davidson, The Marble Man?
Yeah, but he doesn't look like Bruce Willis in that movie,
what?
man. No.
Hold up. Tell me he doesn't look like that.
He doesn't.
But then
you say that. I'm going to show this picture, and we could take a poll, and I bet you people are like, "Yeah, I see it."
Listen, you're talking a little too much about polls tonight. Can we move forward, please?
He hasn't even gotten onto the poll yet, but and then Tony, because obviously he was watching Terminator 1, so he didn't watch Terminator 2 yet to realize that the mother, John Connor's mother or stepmother, wherever the hell she was, is the same actress who played Vasquez in Aliens as well. That's
yeah. And then I got to the second one. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude! Like everybody from the movie was either in Alien or Aliens or whatever the hell you want to call it.
And then obviously you have Arnold, who was in Predator, right?
Yep.
Like,
so was Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton, yep, was in Predator 2.
Bill Paxton plays Sigourney Weaver, and
and then you have Lance Hendrickson, who played the cop from Terminator. He was in obviously Aliens, but he's also in Alien versus Predator. So, like, it's all over, man.
Don't tell me that doesn't look like Bruce Willis right there.
It doesn't.
Hold on. Which one?
With the jacket on the right.
With the cowboy hat on?
No, that's
without the cowboy hat.
One without the cowboy hat looks like Bruce Willis.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
That absolutely looks like Bruce Willis. I thought that was Bruce Willis. I thought this was like he was bringing up a picture of Bruce as a comparison. I thought that absolutely looks like Bruce Willis.
That's what I'm saying. So when I was younger, I always got them. When I was younger, when they were younger, I always got them confused.
That's Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, before all the plastic surgery, he used to be a boxer and he did pretty well, and then he had a facial injury, and a buddy was like, "Hey, you should go and get that fixed," and he went to get it fixed, and the plastic surgeon messed him up, and then he went to others to try to fix the mess up, and his face just got progressively worse.
That absolutely looks like Bruce Willis,
and that's why he disappeared from movies for a while.
I don't know who's watching right now. We got one person viewing right now. We've had a couple in and out, but whoever's watching right now, just answer this, settle this. Doesn't that look like Bruce Willis? With the earring, that looks like Bruce Willis to me.
I gotta look. I'm not 100% certain, but I think, and just based on what you said, Psycho, it popped in my head, so it makes me think it is him. I think there was a movie called Johnny Handsome or Johnny Ugly.
Okay.
And he plays a bank robber who's got, I forget what the facial issue is. It's like Rocky Dennis kind of syndrome.
God damn.
But it's so bad that he can't really talk at all and he can't breathe properly. Well, they do all this plastic surgery so he looks normal. I want to say it's Mickey Rourke. Hold on.
Mickey Rourke, the Aftermath? I
want to say it's Johnny Handsome, but yep. But who is that? Is that Mickey Rourke?
No, but
no.
Who the hell is that?
Is that Morgan?
Mickey Rourke. That is twice you've been completely wrong.
That's
No, I
not
mean the
fair.
first one I'm not wrong, but it does
No, the
not.
first
look
one
like
you were
Bruce Willis at all.
absolutely wrong. You were
But,
absolutely wrong.
No.
So when did he get jacked up in the face?
Sometime in the early to mid 90s, and what happened was he had his cheekbones smashed and his nose kind of flattened. And then he went to the wrong plastic surgeon, and the guy kept saying, "Oh, we'll do it again, and I'll fix it. I'll fix it. I'll fix it." And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And it just
Didn't get any better.
no, it didn't.
I mean, he became Whiplash, so it worked out for him, I guess.
I mean, except for the fact that after that, what has he done?
Did he do Wrestler after that, or was that?
No,
Wrestler
that was before. I think Wrestler was before Iron Man 2. Maybe it was afterwards.
I
They
feel
were all
like
the same
for
time
some
period.
reason I want to say Iron Man 2 was like his comeback into acting.
Who
And then he
was
got the
Hellboy?
Wrestler, and then nothing else. Huh?
Who was Hellboy?
The guy from Alien Resurrection. God damn it.
Ron Perlman.
Yeah, Ron Pro. Yeah, I was gonna say I think he was in Sons of Anarchy as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sitting here trying to think of like. So I guess rewind back to Terminator. I know I went off on a thing. But...
So the Wrestler came out in 2008, which I think is before Iron Man 2.
The new batch.
I didn't say Gremlins, but okay.
Iron Man 2 would have been a lot better if there was like 100,000 gremlins running around.
Yeah, because Iron Man 1 came out in 2008. So Iron Man 2 came out, what,
Okay.
2010? Yeah, 2010.
All right.
Wow. Can you imagine going back now? And I know it's like, we're not far off. 2 more years, it'll be 20 years old, that movie. But it's crazy to go back now. Whenever I go back and I watch Iron Man 1, and I'm like, ugh, it's so hard to watch.
I don't know. I thought it's a good movie. I watched it recently. I thought it was good.
It was hard to watch for me.
The only thing that bothers me when I think about stuff like that is like I look back to like in the 90s when my dad would try and make me watch movies that were like from the 80s and 70s, and they look so bad. You're like, this is horrible. But now the movies from the 90s, I watch them now, they're even older. And some of them don't look anywhere near as bad as that, but some of them look fucking even worse. Like,
Yeah.
So, go ahead, John.
I was saying Mickey Rourke got the Wrestler, and then RDJ really wanted him for Iron Man 2, and he had Iron Man 2, which came out in May, and then in August was the Expendables 2, or was the first Expendables movie that he was in,
I forgot.
and then he kind of disappeared again.
I forgot he was in Expendables.
Apparently, he disappeared after that because he was difficult to work with on the set of Iron Man 2, according to some people. And I don't know, I guess he made kind of a bad name for himself. And I don't know.
I guess
mean,
when you
that's
think you're
possible, but
more than you
that
are,
seems
maybe.
to be like the go-to excuse for people in Marvel when they don't bring somebody back. Like,
Well, I mean-
Edward Norton was difficult to work with. That's why he was never brought back as Hulk. And then Terrence Howard was difficult to work with. That's why they replaced him as War Machine.
Well, no, Terrence Howard wasn't difficult to work with.
That's what
the
they
reason
say.
the reason they replaced him is because he wanted the exact same pay that Robert Downey Jr. was getting. And Marvel told him no. And he said, if you don't pay me, I won't come to work. And they're like, okay.
Until you watch the interviews with Terrence Howard, he speaks on it, and when he's told that because other people in the cast found him difficult to work with, is why he wasn't being brought back. That's what he was told. So now, if he's lying, he could be. He's Terrence Howard. He's kind of crazy. Very well could be lying. But that was what he said.
I don't want to get away from Terminator, but I want to circle back 2 clicks roll about Edward Norton. He was terrible in the Hulk.
No.
That was a terrible fucking movie, dude.
I disagree.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I can't support you on that one, Tony. Like that definitely looks like Bruce Willis. But Edward Norton's Hulk was actually pretty damn good.
I love how that's the argument to go to. You're like, listen, I'll give you Bruce Willis, but I can't give you this.
No.
Tony, you have to remember you have to remember who Edward Norton was playing, right? Edward Norton was playing Bill Bixby. The movie that we got of the Hulk was supposed to be it was called The Incredible Hulk because it was supposed to be like an evolution of the old show from the 70s. And in that context, when you look at it, he played a damn good Hulk and Bruce Banner. Like he nailed the deeply like psychologically damaged Bruce Banner that Bill Bixby had played. It was not like it was supposed to be more psychological before like the action stuff, right? And so in that respect, that's kind of why I disagree. I think that he played the Bruce Banner character that he was supposed to play very, very well. Right.
Tony, if you ask how you feel about the Hulk and his version of the Hulk, how do you feel about Thomas Jane's Punisher?
Which one is Thomas Jane? Is that the really old one?
The one that came out in 2000s or whatever. It would take place in Tampa. Where he fights the Russian, he stabs him in the chest and throws him down the stairs.
I don't remember it well enough. I went to the movies and saw it. I don't remember it well enough. I only saw it once.
I really like that one, but okay, never mind.
And then what's it? The other thing you said. The guy who played War Machine. So it's the guy from the first and the second one, right? Well, the first one he's just the captain or the corporal, whatever the hell he is, and he's like next time. And then that's the second one is when he comes in and does War Machine, right?
No, so the first one, yeah, but the first one is Terrence Howard, and the second one it's Don Cheadle.
Yeah.
Yeah, Terrence Howard was only in the first one.
Oh shit! Hold on, I'm getting my guys mixed up.
Yeah, and I looked it up online, and it says so Terrence Howard has given these reasons for not being in Iron Man 2. He said that they asked him to take a drastic pay cut. They wanted to pay him only $1 million when he expected to get $8 million, because that's what they had talked about when he signed the 3-movie deal. That he had a disagreement with Robert Downey Jr. because he believed that Robert Downey Jr. stole $7 million from him because RDJ's salary went up and his salary went down. So he believes that RDJ took his money. Then he says that he went to talk to RDJ for help. And RDJ was like, listen, man, I don't control the salary stuff. Like, I'm not in charge. They pay me what they pay me. They pay other people what they pay them. He's like, there's really nothing I could do about that. So Howard said he felt disrespected that RDJ didn't show up to help him. And that when he went to Marvel to tell them that if they didn't increase his money, he wasn't going to show up. Apparently Marvel told him the movie's going to be successful with or without you. It doesn't matter. You could take what we're offering, or you could go and we'll replace you. And so he went and they replaced him.
So here's why I don't remember him. Like, because Don Cheadle, I think, had a better comedic role alongside Robert Downey Jr., so they could both be funny. But when it came time to be, Iron Man or be War Machine or whatever, they could turn it, I don't know how to say it, but like they could turn it back on. They could get back into like, the action mode. Whereas, I don't feel like the other cat was Terrence or whatever the hell his name is. I didn't find like he had a humorous side. I didn't see that. I thought
he never had the chance to do any of that. But his other characters, he's done like in other movies. That's not what he does. He's more of a dramatic actor, if anything. So that it's not there. Like, he was not a good fit for that role. But yeah, when you watch his actual interviews, like, he's done them recently. Like, he thinks he's a fucking genius. Okay? He tells the stories, and when it came down to it, he was told by somebody at Disney when he went into a meeting with them about it. He was told that we're getting complaints and people saying that you're difficult to work with. So they weren't going to bring him back and feed him the money he wanted because of that. And that the part where it'll be good without you was said to him, according to him as well. But yeah, was that he was difficult to work with. Because he's like, just pay me the money. I won't be difficult type of thing. Like, yeah, fucking. But Disney likes to use that excuse. They use that for a lot of people, though. A lot of the kids shows, when they go off, they tell them that the kids became difficult to work with. Like, And usually, it seems like Disney's idea of difficult to work with is you ask for more money.
Yeah, I think with Ed Norton it was different though, because Edward Norton said he wouldn't come back long before Disney's like, we're not bringing him back, because they promised Edward Norton, according to him, they promised him more creative control on the cut of the film that was released. He wanted more of the psychological side portrayed than what they actually portrayed in the movie, the final release. And he was pushing for that, and they told him no. And he was like, well, I'm supposed to have some say in what's going on. And they're like, not that kind of say, you don't. And so he's like, well, if you don't give me an opportunity, then I'm not coming back for the next film. And they're like, well, that's what you want to do. And so
I imagine it's a money thing, even with that, because I can't see like all the other movies Edward Norton's done. I've never heard anybody else say he's like a difficult person to work with. They very well may have. I've just never been on the radar of it. I've just never heard that about anything else except for the Hulk movie, which, like I said, it seems like Disney, as soon as you start asking for things that they don't want to give you, they call you difficult instead of they just want to get rid of you. Oh, he's difficult to work with. We're not going to bring them back. Instead of telling the real reasons why. Like it seems like just a go-to excuse. But Terminator, let's get back to that because that's what we're here for.
Well, I will say, I do want to say one more thing before we go to Terminator. The directors of The Incredible Hulk, American History X, The Italian Job, Fight Club, and Birdman have all said that Edward Norton is incredibly difficult to work with. And I know you said that you just hadn't heard it, but according to all those directors, specifically because he's a perfectionist and he wants to have creative control over the film.
All right, so back to Terminator because none of that fucking matters. Thanks for attempting to prove me wrong. I appreciate that. So back to Terminator. Like,
so,
Jesus Christ.
I mean, I think if you're a good enough actor, you should have creative control over your character just to show what you can do with it. And if they don't like it, then you shoot what they tell you to shoot because that's what you're paid for.
Yeah.
You're paid to be an actor.
We'll also think if you want that kind of stuff, you should write it into your contract, right? Like, I'll do this film, I'll take less money, I get to decide X, Y, Z, right? Like,
I agree.
I don't know.
So back to Terminator. So, so I find it like kind of crazy. So like, and I read this somewhere too, or I talked to somebody, I don't remember what it was, or somebody mentioned it. I don't know where I got this, but thinking about stupid things like when the Terminator gets shot.
Right.
At no point do these bullets and shotguns and all of this ammunition being shot at this dude damage any smaller intricate parts.
I mean, like, so are you meaning like, obviously you'd think, because if we're thinking robots the way you think of robots now, there would be like hoses and pipes and stuff to like put like hydraulic fluid.
Okay.
Hi.
Yeah, and like at no point with the listen, not to take away from the first movie, I feel like I have to like jump back and forth. But in the second one, the second movie clearly had more scenes where Arnold was getting shot up. And I feel like they wanted you to see that, and I think that's one of the reasons the second movie was so successful is there was so much more violence in it. And go ahead.
No,
it's on the tip of your brain. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, part of it is that James Cameron had a very small budget for Terminator 1, and because Terminator 1 was so successful, he had a gigantic budget because he did Terminator, and I don't remember what year Aliens came out, but Aliens came out after Terminator's. Terminator was 84. Then he did Aliens, and Aliens was a huge success. So when he said he wanted to do Terminator 2, everybody's like, have all the money. So of course he can do way more than he did in the first one, right? So because he kind of
my whole thought behind that though, like just the Terminator itself. So in the future, you're not seeing humans shoot like laser guns at these guys, right? You're not. No. You're seeing the regular shit that hey, we've got guns and pistols and where, and that's all the shit that they're shooting at them. And then Go back in time and it's the same thing. Now in the future, they're showing, hey, we're killing the Terminators with these guns and how we're doing things. Yet Arnold gets shot 75 ways to Sunday, and the dude only has a couple bullet, shells or slugs or whatever you want to call it, that she pulls out of his skin. Just a couple things, because it stops at the adamantium. Oh my god, I almost said it as adamantium skeleton.
May as well be.
But no. His exoskeleton or whatever his endoskeleton. But I'm looking at the toy, so like this is something hydraulic, right? It has to be. It's something hydraulic here. How did he not get shot in the eye ever? All the bullets being berated at this dude, and they were all to kill.
In the face that his whole fucking skin ripped off. You can see his fucking half his face.
But the eye never gets shot. His eye never gets blasted.
He does get shot in the eye in the first Terminator movie, or glass like flies through to his eye, because remember there's a scene in the first Terminator where he cuts his eye out of his head because the eye has got a hole in it and it's all like falling apart. So he like cuts the skin around the eye and pulls the eye out. It was either shot or
pulls the eyeball out.
But that's not his eye. That's his skin, right? The skin covering of the endoskeleton. That's not him. He's the skeleton, right?
But the endoskeleton is also like super strong. It's not regular metal. They tell you that in the movie.
I just don't know how we. Okay, all right. Hold on, backtrack. So, in the second one, more than the first one, in the second one, there's a scene where I don't remember if he fucking steps the wrong way or what happens with his ankle, but all of a sudden his left leg does not move the same way with him all the time, and he's basically dragging it.
He's got a
so like, are you talking about the first movie?
Second movie. The first movie is because he blows him up or whatever the hell happens, and he has all those other problems. But in the second one, there are scenes where he's not walking properly, right? As they're and I can't remember if it's they might have been in the Foundry already. I don't remember.
Didn't he like break his leg on the set or something? He was wearing a boot for some of that movie.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm thinking about somebody else. Maybe I'm thinking about a different movie with somebody else. I know Jackie Chan did that a lot.
He's walking along. Jesus Christ. He's walking and he's like almost dragging the one foot, and they make it a point to show him almost dragging the foot. So I'm like, okay, so you're telling me he fell, and it might have been when he fell off the truck, actually, when they go into the Foundry, like when the T-1000's chasing them and they're in the little truck and they keep smashing into the back of the truck, and he gets up there and he blasts the T-1000 and then the truck turns sideways and he rolls off and shoots forward, and he can barely stand up. I don't know where the mechanical side gets tired and it's like, oh man, I just fell off a truck. Let me stand up slowly. Help me up, John Connor. I'm only 15,000 pounds and you're like a 12-year-old kid, but you should be able to help me off the ground. And then he stands up and it's like, we've got to get out of here. And they're like, he's like carrying what's her face, Sarah, basically, right? Because she can't walk because she's been shot in the leg. And he's like struggling to carry her. He's like hobbling at the same time she is.
I think you're conflating two different points of the movie.
You mean conflicting?
No, conflating. Like you're adding them together when they're not together.
Yeah, he likes to use big words.
I only say that because I just watched Terminator 2 today, and the scene where John Connor helps him up happens after he comes up on that giant gear and shoots the T-1000 with the exploding round, and then the T-1000 falls in the thing. That's when John Connor helps him up. When he comes off the truck, John Connor's not helping him. John Connor's trying to get his mom out of the small truck. The Terminator, like when that large truck flips on its side and rolls and then brakes, he rolls and then he stands up himself and walks over the truck, and John Connor's trying to get Sarah out. And that's when the Terminator reaches in and grabs Sarah and picks her up. But he's not struggling until after he gets his arm ripped off and gets stabbed down through the chest. And then like he's missing parts. You know what I mean? Like he got messed up.
But still, John Connor shouldn't be able to help pick him up.
That absolutely should not have been able to happen. I'm just saying it didn't happen then. It happened later. The John Connor's trying to pick him up. But then also you guys were talking about, why isn't he getting shot or damaged more often? It tells you in the first film, and I believe in the second film it says it again, but Kyle Reese explains that they're incredibly tough and regular bullets don't pierce them. Right? Like regular bullets can't stop them, which is why he makes explosives. It's like some sort of titanium mixture or something.
So he gets hurt when the SWAT van crashes. The T-800 gets a slight limp in its left leg.
Yeah.
But see, it could be the endoskeleton thing could be this whatever special titanium that the bullets can't pierce. That's all fine and dandy. But all the joints and like you said, there's gonna be pistons and stuff to make everything work, right? There's gonna be hydraulic pistons to make the leg. In theory, in the idea of robots now, obviously they can say it's in the future. They don't need hydraulic fluid to make the things work properly, right? Like there's always that argument. But we think of the way of a robot now, even if the robot's frame and the skeleton is made out of even adamantium, it could be a insanely strong metal. But you're going to have all the things that make those body parts move, and you're going to have wires because it's electric. You're going to have wires. You're going to have pistons. Like there's going to be all kinds of different things that should be getting fucking destroyed by a 50 caliber round that goes through engine blocks like butter, right? Like there should be more to it, but that's we could use the argument. Oh, it's the future. It's a different type of robot. They don't have those type of setups, and okay, sure.
Well, I mean, again, I don't know because, like you said, first of all, it's fake. I don't know, and like you said, you can make the argument as the future. I know that the wires and everything are supposed to be in the tubes of the titanium because when you see like the arm get ripped off, you see that all the wires were inside of one of those tubes in what would be the human forearm bone, right? Like the wires were inside the tube for protection. And as far as the joints, I mean, I guess my question would be, what if all the pieces are made of that super strong metal, right? Then there wouldn't be any weakness in the joint to begin with.
But you'd still have a cog, right? You'd still have some type of cog that's allowing the bending and the turning. So that would be a weak point. Because hell, you can get something between the cogs that would cause problem. Like there's a lot there, but like I say, even when it comes down to a piston. I'm not going to do the motion of a piston because Tony's already getting ready to talk about something else that's the same type of motion. But a piston, when it goes like to construct whatever the fuck, when you make a move,
yes,
fucking like that motion will get screwed up. That motion by debris, dust, it'll be a weaker point. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be weaker points.
Which is why
that's where the argument of it's a futuristic robot. They don't use like pistons like we know them. It's a different setup. Like there's,
I mean,
that's what you're adding
there.
Because this is what happens when you add real life mechanics to a fiction movie. And if you're gonna sit here and believe that this robot came from the future to go kill this whore and her unborn baby to keep the world from being saved.
We're not going to talk about Sarah Connor like that, but
like if you believe that that's good, then you can believe that they have a special type of robotics in the future that none of that becomes an issue.
Like, I just think that, I mean, and again, it because it's fake, there has to be a certain level of the suspension of disbelief. I mean, because if not, it's like every monster movie. Why are you just not aiming at the eye? Right?
T-1000 wasn't enough.
The weakest part of the monster. Why are you not just concentrating all your fire on the eye, right? Like and being done with it. You're gonna shoot the hide, which isn't gonna make any difference. And again, I mean, I guess in canon the argument would be the metal is stronger than what we have to actually do significant damage. Because in the first Terminator movie, the people don't really damage him. Like he's damaged for the first time. Like the actual robotic part is damaged in the explosion of the truck, and then he's damaged in the explosion when Kyle Reese puts the pipe bomb inside his chest, and that damages him. But then he's still going after Sarah Connor And he gets crushed by the hydraulic press.
So do you think a little bit of it is because in the first one, remember, he's the hunter, right?
Yes.
So he's going after her. So all that's happening with that is he's defending himself, I guess, against Reese. That's the only person, with the exception of a couple local cops. There's not a huge SWAT team. There's not all kinds of craziness that's after him in the first movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he's just not, it's something weird. It's like his presence is not as big as in the second one. Like in the second one, and I don't know if it's because now Sarah's involved and are doing all these extra things. Like, they broke her out of an asylum, so now they're looking for him. You know what I mean? Where in the first one, they're not really looking for him. He's just some dude that showed up butt-ass naked and flashed his dog at Bill Paxton, took his clothes, and now he's hunting Sarah.
Who was looking for him in the second one?
All the cops?
Everybody, because as soon as he broke Sarah out with...
Right. But who was with the cops?
Whoever. Like, I mean...
A T-1000?
I mean, not
no,
at
the T-1000
first.
was just the T-1000.
No,
Yeah,
but he was dressed like a cop. He was with the cops.
Well, so at
He was
first...
cops, but he was with the cops.
Well, no, at first, what happens is they pull the video of him fighting the T-1000 from security cameras at the mall, and that's the shot, and the cop goes to Sarah and is like, hey, this thing that killed all these cops, here it is again now.
Right.
8 years later, like, you got to help us, and she doesn't say anything. But that's kind of when they're looking for him. But, I mean, Tony, you kind of answered your own question. He came from the future, and nobody knows he's there. The only person that knows he's there is Kyle, so nobody's looking for him. When he starts killing cops, then the cops are shooting him in the first movie, but it's at the police station. He kills them all.
Tony, have you ever played GTA 4? Like, you can run around town and do whatever the fuck you want, but as soon as you kill a cop, as soon as you kill one of the cops, they come after you like there's no tomorrow.
It's weird, though. I can steal all the cars I want, and it's not a problem.
I mean, you get a 1-star wanted level. And then if a cop spots you and you run, you get a 2-star wanted level. But then that'll go away pretty quickly.
Yeah, all you got to do is keep outrunning them.
Yeah, it's easy. Go to the airport, get 5. Whatever.
And then I do with the second Terminator, I give credit where credit is due, man. It was just a good movie overall.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. The only thing I was kind of weirded out by, what's up?
Is it better than the first?
Absolutely.
I think it's
all right. So this is like Mega Man rules. Is it better than the first because it's a better movie, or is it better than the first because they had more money production value and they learned from the first?
I
believe that both of those things are true.
God, you're like a politician, dude.
So I'll put that it's better than the first because the first one I really do like it, but I feel like the whole story and the idea of what you got from the Terminator is a much better story, and the action's better. The idea of the Terminator actually helping them, you have something fighting the Terminator, right? Because now you have something that's actually a danger or a threat to the T-800. You have the T-1000. In the first movie, there was no threat to him besides Reese, who didn't have the ability to the weapons to really do anything. There was really no threat, and he was just Michael Myers in a robot form.
That's the best way you could have put that.
Which is no problem with that movie, but the second movie, it was a much more entertaining, much more action because it wasn't a horror movie, which I still consider the first more horror than sci-fi or anything. But the second one's obviously a sci-fi action, better story, better everything all around. Doesn't take away from the first. The first is still great.
So now I got. All right. Back up. So the first one, you're saying sci-fi. It's a straight sci-fi movie.
No, I mean,
I think
it's more horror. I think it's like a horror sci-fi.
Okay, all right. I would say the same.
Just because it's a robot, people say it's sci-fi.
Well, I say because of the way it's shot
and the time travel element. Like, it can't be straight horror with all that stuff in it. There's
I agree with
natural at all, so it can't be just straight horror.
I agree with the sci-fi horror. because I equate it to other, movies that are kind of like that. But well, okay, so I'll just say it because it's one of my favorite movies. But and it's a huge ripoff of those kind of movies. Was Class of 1999. Same thing. You had these cyborg teachers, call them what they were. And then, the whole thing was set in the future, right? Because it's a Class of 1999. The movie was made in I can't even remember, 91 or something. I can't remember. And so it's set in the future. So much like Terminator. And yeah, I'll agree, sci-fi horror, because, now where it didn't have the death scenes, right? I think the cinematography gives you that horror feel, where Class of 1999, it's a sci-fi straight up horror because they're constantly killing kids in the movie. So it's not campy.
I still need to see that movie.
It's more horror than sci-fi.
So I still have to see that movie. But my thing with Terminator being horror, right? Like you said, the way it's shot, it's got the much more darker, grittier 80s slasher feel to it, right? Now you obviously have the time travel aspect, but that's just because it's there doesn't make it a sci-fi. Because if that's the case, then Blair Witch is also a sci-fi because there's a time travel aspect to that.
Don't equate the Blair Witch to anything we're talking about right now.
No, but he's saying because there's time travel now it's sci-fi. So then Blair Witch is sci-fi. Like you can't just because there's time travel, you can't say, oh, it's sci-fi because of that, right? That's part of the story to bring him there. You need that, but in reality, for what you're seeing in the movie and the way the movie's filmed and everything that you're getting, that isn't such an important part of the story. Like, yeah, he needs that to come there, sure. If he doesn't have time travel, he doesn't appear, sure. But that's not it doesn't make the movie or break the movie for that to be the focus of, oh, it's time travel. And then the idea of robots, there's murderous robots in horror all the time. So that's why I feel it's more of a horror movie than anything. The second one is much more sci-fi action across the board.
So it's been a really long time since I've seen the Blair Witch, like a really long time. Mm-hmm. But I thought the time travel element in Blair Witch was mostly implied. Like it wasn't a straightforward this is time travel. This is blah,
it's
blah,
confirmed
blah.
in the second one. It's time travel.
Well, no, but I'm talking about the first film. When you're watching the first film, it was more like, okay, is this going on, right?
Then let me correct myself. Then that means that the Blair Witch 2 was a sci-fi movie and it's not. Okay, because that's where it's confirmed as time travel.
I can't. But it's like the argument that I'm making for it being sci-fi is because you have this whole idea of robots, right? Like
in disguise,
coming back in time, right? Okay. And it just because then you could say, oh, well, Chucky is Child's Play is sci-fi, but it's different, right? Because it was supernatural. It was a supernatural element because it was the soul of a killer who goes into the toy body, right? But this is not. There's nothing supernatural going on in Terminator at all, right?
So but see, this is where if you start talking movies, if your knowledge of horror movies isn't vast in it, you're gonna get things like, oh, well, then Puppet Master, they're little robot puppets made, and he uses a serum to give them power, right? So is that sci-fi now? It's not.
Well, no, because the serum is a supernatural element. And what I'm saying is the reason I don't classify those other things is because and you've seen way more horror movies than I have. But in the horror movies that I've seen, when you're dealing with robots, when you're dealing with things of that nature, and I never watched Puppet Master completely, but there's always a supernatural element which is absent completely in Terminator. There's nothing supernatural going on. There's no disembodied souls. There's no God. There's no devil. It's just a machine.
See, that's where you're trying to get really precise. Like you're trying to really box in what the word supernatural means. And the vast actual idea of supernatural is anything that's not natural. It's supernatural, right? So you can say time travel is supernatural because it's not natural. Like there's a lot you could really to go through it. You can get really technical and you really dissect it. But I mean, do you count Back to
It's
the
coming.
Future as
It's
a
coming.
sci-fi
Hold on.
movie?
Hold on.
What?
You're Googling, so hold on.
No, listen, I'm not going to do it because I know it frustrates Chris. I just wanted to check for myself the
The
definition,
of supernatural.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, no, I knew he'd do that.
I'm not going to do it, but I wanted to check for myself.
No, because when you talk about
God,
supernatural
I love
stuff,
when I'm
it's stuff that you're in the world of natural, and it's the supernatural. A lot of it is aliens are considered supernatural.
Listen, I love big naturals like the next guy. We just,
Supernatural, all cryptids are considered supernatural. Like then you have the different realms of supernatural. You have ghost ideas, then you have the cryptid ideas, you have scientific ideas of supernatural. But like it all comes down to supernatural because it's not the natural. But like I said, do you count Back to the Future as a sci-fi movie?
Back to the Future is a sci-fi movie.
No, I've never considered it a sci-fi movie. I can see why you would. I've just never considered one.
I'd call it sci-fi adventure.
Yeah.
Yep.
I consider it an adventure. I just never considered sci-fi because to me it lacks the whole sci-fi. And part of it is because of like what I'm saying, like people like think of it real easy or like real simplistic. When it comes to supernatural, I'm guilty of that. Or yeah, Back to the Future, I'm guilty of that because nothing in that to me is sci-fi outside of obviously doing the time travel. Because one thing is sci-fi when I look at Back to the Future, and it's contradictory to other things I've said, is that there's no aliens, there's no space, there's none of that. Sci-fi has to kind of have those elements for it to be considered sci-fi in my world. But I can understand why you consider Back to the Future sci-fi.
But so like if you
Not
look
something I
at
would go with.
if you look at time travel in Click, for instance, right? I would argue that time travel is
Did you just
absolutely
quote Adam Sandler during this?
He did.
No, I didn't quote anything. I referenced an Adam
Oh,
Sandler movie.
Yeah, he likes to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. If you look at time travel in Click, for instance, I would say that is supernatural because it's God, right, who's manipulating time. Time isn't being manipulated by any deity in Terminator, so it can't be supernatural. Like for a movie like It's a Wonderful Life, time and reality is being manipulated by God. That's a supernatural manipulation.
Like I said, I get what you're saying, and it's a fair assessment. I don't see like time travel. It's obviously in Terminator, but I don't see it being like that definitive thing. Like, oh, it's because of this one thing. It's sci-fi. Like that doesn't work with me. Like it's not for me. It's definitely more horror, murderous, fucking psychopath.
The only horror aspect I will give that movie is the light and the way it's shot.
The kills.
That's basically a slasher.
The kills have to count as horror kills in the first Terminator movie. They are not as overtly in your face as they are in Terminator 2 as far as just violence. Like in Terminator, if you don't think that there's horror elements in Terminator 1 that make it like a sci-fi horror, the whole scene where he enters Tech Nor, the club, that's absolutely horror. And then before that, when he's
basically Uber Jason.
When he breaks into Sarah Connor's home and like sneaks up behind the guy and kills him and then throws his body through the wall, right? Like that's absolutely horror. The kills in Terminator 1 are very, very much horror. Even the first one in broad daylight, when he's like, "Are you Sarah Connor?" And she's like, "Yes." He just pushes the door open and starts like shooting her. Like, it's absolutely horror. Absolutely.
Like I said, he's got that stereotypical slasher, right? The Jason, the Michael Myers, where no matter what they do, he keeps coming.
Yeah.
You shoot him, he keeps coming. He's right behind you the whole fucking way. He's a slasher in that movie.
When he comes out of the
actually
fire,
slash people.
when he comes out of the fire as a skeleton towards the end of the film, that is absolutely horror. 100%. Oh, the truck is on fire. He's dead. They're both saying it. He's dead. It's over. And all of a sudden, the skeleton just rises up, and starts walking out of the fire. Like,
so, how about you start transitioning right to Terminator 2?
Okay.
Right.
How about how many of the things that happened in 1 they regurgitated in 2 in some way, shape, or form. And not for reference, it just happened to happen that way.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I need
Like
examples.
So, so examples of like, so we talked about like
What's going on, Seth?
what?
Send hi to Seth. He's in the
Oh.
chat.
So there were, well, case in point, you talked about how the truck caught fire and the skeleton got up, and now the skeleton's, walking around.
Mhm.
The T-1000 got blown up twice in a truck, in the black truck, and he got blown up in the in the cryogenic truck. And both times you just see him like emerging from the ashes. So like they stole that same, what I don't want to call it a death scene, right? But
Right, no, but the same imagery, right?
right, same imagery. Thank you. That's good. So same imagery from the first one to the second one. It's the same thing with the way Sarah ran away. Well, they had to for that's how they introduce the T-800 and Sarah again, is the same kind of scene where she's running away in fear, right? Essentially. So they did the same thing there, the imagery with that. And then it was the same thing with all the little stupid quotes. Like, at one point it reaches down, he's like, "Come with me if you want to live." Well, Reese said that to her in the first one.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's a lot of fan service.
I mean, I also think that the first thing that you mentioned is important, though, right? Because remember, when the explosion happens in the truck in the first Terminator movie, that's the first point where they think they've actually beaten this thing.
Sure.
They put that in the beginning of the second movie as quickly as they did to show you
it's not.
This isn't the same guy. Like you're not. This is not going to be anything.
So I didn't think of it like that. So that's a good point.
It's like it's made because the people who saw the first movie were like, "Oh, well, this is where the Terminator first starts getting messed up. Like when this explosion happens, he's not the same afterwards. His leg is messed up, the skin is gone, he doesn't blend in, and so right from the very beginning." You don't know much about this Terminator, and you see this truck explode, and then he just comes walking out of it, and he looks perfectly fine. It's like, oh, shit. Like, this is a big deal. Like, this is not going to be as easy, and I think that that's what that part of it is about. The Sarah running thing, I don't get what part of the first movie you're talking about. Like, what part in the first movie are you saying that's a mirror of?
So when he first encounters... when she first encounters the Terminator, and after she's what?
Isn't that in Tech Noir when she first sees him?
I think she sees him, but they don't encounter until like the end of that scene. Like she didn't even encounter him. I think she did. Hold on. I want to say it's in the diner. I wanted to say that's the first time she saw him was in the diner.
Not saw him, but the first time she had like an interaction.
The first time she sees the Terminator and interacts with the Terminator is in Tech Noir in the club. She's trying to escape Kyle Reese because people named Sarah Connor have already died. And her friend in the diner told her, "Hey, you're dead, honey." And gave her, told her to look at the news. And that's where she sees on the news that the other Sarah Connor had been killed. And so she's already a little bit freaked out, and she decides to go to the club, but she's being followed, right? Like she's going to go out because her friend and her friend's boyfriend were going to stay in, and she didn't want to be there while they were doing what they were going to do. And so she goes out, but then she realizes she's being followed, and she worries that whoever killed this Sarah Connors are after her. So she ducks into the club, hoping to escape. And Kyle goes in there, and then she calls her friend saying, "Hey, I think the person's after me," but the Terminator is at her house. The Terminator's at her house because he just killed both of like her roommate and her roommate's boyfriend, and he shows up at the club because that's where she said she's going to be, and he comes in, and she like sees him and starts to try to leave, and he throws her down, and right before he can do anything, Kyle Reese shoots him a bunch of times with the shotgun and puts him down. And then that's when he tells Sarah, "Come with me if you want to live," grabs her and runs out. That's where that scene happens in the first movie. But the very first time she ever sees the Terminator and realizes what's going on, that's when it happens.
Okay.
So,
All right.
hold
I
on.
said I think you're right. Okay.
So hold on. So your other thing about the second one, when the Terminator says it to her, right? Because he says it to her, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
It has to be that Kyle Reese specifically told him to say that so she'd understand that he was there to help her because that's what Kyle Reese told her.
Ooh, that's a good call.
Yeah. I was it was John Connor who told her.
Hold on. So that was my other bitch. So in the first one, and maybe they explain it in the later movies, and I just don't remember the later movies well enough because there's only two I like to follow, really. So like when he comes back in the second one and he's the protector now.
Yes.
He first encounters him in the asylum because she's running to get away and he walks out of the elevator and she's like, oh fuck. Yep. She slips and he's like, she's standing there and she's freaking out. And I think the 1000, I can't remember if it was behind her or not, but I guess he like shot it. And then I want to say I might be confusing two scenes, but and then Connor comes out and he's like, Mom, like hugs her or whatever. And he's like, it's okay. He's with us. And then at that point, I think the T-1000, that's what it was. He was trying to come through the gate and he couldn't do it with the gun in his hand.
That happened after that, but yes.
Okay. All right. So
you already said you're confusing two scenes. He's already corrected you. You might as well just.
And then he's like, oh, come with me if you want to live. And then they're running to the elevator. And then he turns them around. And then the T-1000 is trying to shoot him, until they get to the elevator, I guess you could say. But I was going somewhere with this.
You were talking about, because Chris said that it was Kyle Reese who told him, tell her this.
Yeah. So in the first one, I guess the ending where all that's left is the arm of the Terminator, because they, it's the only thing that's left hanging out, which I'm sorry, I got some questions there, but they managed to salvage the Skynet chip from his brain.
Part of it.
Okay, I got it. I know what works. And then his arm, but you couldn't get the rest of it. It wasn't smushed to a pancake. Like he was crushed. So they could have had the entire T-800 body, but they only focused on the arm, and it might be for cinematic reasons, the arm and the chip in the brain. I'm sorry, part of the chip in the brain. And so
that'd be right.
And now you've got the second movie, and is the second movie specifically just to destroy those two items? Because John's already born, so they have to send somebody back to kill John. But if that Terminator didn't succeed to kill Sarah in the beginning, because they hadn't killed Skynet, because they didn't do anything about Skynet.
Yes.
So because they hadn't taken down Skynet, is that what launches Terminator 2, where it's like, okay, fuck that, we have to go back and kill Skynet?
Well, in the beginning of Terminator 2, in the narration, it tells you that because Skynet failed to kill Sarah Connor before she gave birth to John Connor, they decided to come back and try to kill John Connor as a kid. The problem is there's no record of when he was born, what he looks like, or anything else, because the Resistance was able to destroy all of that stuff. So Skynet didn't have a definitive date of birth, a picture or a location or anything else. All it had was a window of time when it knew he would be a child, that it could strike. So it didn't know that it was going to show up and he was going to be 13 or 14 or however how old he is in the movie, right? Because that information is gone. It doesn't have it. It just knows at this time period he's some kind of child. Whatever age it'll be, he's a child.
So would you say the Dyson part, right, where they have to stop Dyson from creating Skynet, not necessarily kill Dyson, but had they just stopped what Dyson had started, do you think it's a two-part thing where they sent it back and the T-1000 is like, okay, I'm only here to make sure the kid dies. That's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, that's all T-1000 was there to do. Yep.
That's his directive. I'm here to kill the kid.
Yep.
If they happen to destroy Skynet, but he didn't kill John Connor, would his directive have changed?
He didn't know anything about the plan for Skynet. Remember,
Well,
Sarah
that's kind of like my point. Like
Sarah comes up with that plan off the top of her head, like we're going to do this too.
but like my thought is, they send back the T-1000.
Yes.
The T-1000 would have to have knowledge that this is the year that Skynet is created.
Right.
So did they send him back with any of that knowledge, or was that the only thing that motherfucker was there to do? They're like, they didn't give him any other knowledge or any other directive other than you are to find and kill John Connor.
So the question
they had that information. Sorry, Chris. They had that information, Tony, but remember, Skynet doesn't first in the original like canon, Skynet doesn't turn on until 1999. And the movie takes place in 1992.
Right, but T-1000 doesn't give a shit about that. He was sent back from. So
Yeah,
he
so
has
I guess-
that knowledge.
So Tony,
But what I'm saying is, go ahead, Chris.
no, I want to make sure I'm fully understanding Tony's question here. So Tony, what you're saying is that if they had successfully destroyed Skynet, right? If they had stopped it, whatever, stopped him from creating Skynet or whatever he was doing at that time, would the T-1000's directive and then change because now Skynet's no longer a thing?
Well, he would have disappeared because Skynet would have never existed. Theoretically, it should have been Back to the Future rules where he just fades away.
But
Because if them killing John Connor would change the future for them, that's why they sent him back, right? If that would have changed the future, then if they had ended Skynet before anything, then either his directive would change or he would vanish, as would the T-800, because Skynet was never a thing.
no, because that's not. I mean, again, remember in Terminator, everything exists simultaneously, right? So
So we're not doing. So this is Marvel Universe time travel.
no, this is how time travel would have to work, right? Like the thing wouldn't just disappear. Back to the Future is the one who said, "Oh, well, this will disappear." It wouldn't disappear. The connections would disappear, but the thing itself would not disappear. And so, even if Skynet had been destroyed, the T-1000 would have remained until it was destroyed. But there would, I mean, because it exists independently. It's not connected to Skynet anymore because Skynet doesn't exist for another 7 years in canon, right? The T-1000 comes back to 92. Skynet doesn't go online until 1999 in canon. And so it couldn't have gotten a change in directive to begin with because it has no connection to Skynet. The whole thing that the T-1000 was sent to do was kill John Connor. It had no idea that Sarah was going to then decide, oh, well, we have to kill Skynet. It didn't care because it shows up to Cyberdyne Systems, and that's where it takes the helicopter. It's not defending Skynet. It's still just trying to kill John Connor, right? Like, its directive was eliminate John Connor, and had it succeeded, John Connor would be dead, and then 7 years later, Skynet would go online, and everything would happen the way that it did before, except that there would be no resistance leader to teach the people how to resist.
Right? John doesn't really, he's not necessary to the cause.
But hold on.
He is, because he teaches everybody how to survive. That's why they want to get rid of him. He becomes the de facto leader.
So here's what I'm trying to understand. If he successfully killed John Connor, right? And then the T-1000, however, travels back to the future, right?
Well, you can't go back.
No,
you can't go back. I don't remember that.
It's a one-way trip. Kyle says.
So what the hell does he do? Let's say he kills John Connor. Let's say he goes back and he kills John Connor. Well, now what do? He can't self-terminate.
No, he becomes Peacemaker's father, obviously.
He does exactly what the Terminator does in the most recent Terminator movie that James Cameron was part of. He didn't direct it and he didn't write the whole thing, but he collaborated on writing. In that film, and I don't want to give it away in case you guys do. You guys care?
I've seen them all. I just can't remember them all.
So the last one was Dark Fate. Sarah Connor's an old woman. John Connor. In the first 5 minutes of the movie, they brought Edward Furlong back.
Is it Christian Bale?
No, that was Terminator Salvation. After Salvation was Genesis, and after Genesis was Dark Fate. So James Cameron had nothing to do with any of them after Terminator 2 until Terminator Dark Fate, which was a couple of years ago. And that movie opens with Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator being sent back in time by Skynet, right? Because Skynet's like, oh, well, now we have a time period, and we know that he has an emotional attachment to this Terminator. So they send that Terminator back. That Terminator shows up to this bar in Mexico, and John sees him, and he's like, how are you here? And he just takes a shotgun and blasts John right in the chest, and John dies, right? And then that Terminator just assimilates into normal life. He starts a life. He gets married. He owns a business, right?
He ends
like
up having a fucking baby or some shit.
No, he gets married to a woman who has a child.
That was
And
so
he helps
stupid.
he
God, I
helps to
remember
raise
movie.
that child because, again, in the second movie, the Terminator tells you that he's equipped with a chip so that you can learn, right? So like you can fit in, and that's what he needs to be able to adapt and learn and to infiltrate. And so he just assimilates into society for 30 years,
Okay.
right?
But okay, so
Based on Terminator 1, I see how he got her.
so I need so
I lost the
T1000
crowd. Sorry.
T1000 successful kills John Connor, right?
Yep.
But does that affect where he came from at all?
No, because he's already been sent. Once he's in the present, that's
No.
it.
No. Does that affect like the future that he came from?
Uh-huh.
Does that future get affected by John Connor dying?
That future, no. But the new future, yes.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So it is
Why
kind
wouldn't
of
it
like
collapse?
no, so it is kind of
it
like
doesn't. No. You can't. Okay.
What?
You can't.
So,
I'm
no,
sorry.
it's
Not
like
you.
it's
Not
like
you.
Marvel. It's like the MCU time travel. Same thing.
If you kill John Connor,
Yes.
his future is no longer relevant.
So Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, Psycho. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Please.
Have you seen the Marvel movies?
I've seen multiple Marvel movies.
All right, so
Have
you
you
saw like
seen
Endgame
Endgame?
and all that.
Unfortunately, yes.
So
Okay.
it's a different timeline. It's not John Connor's future. It's a different timeline. So when you get sent from that timeline to a different timeline, you can change the future for them, but it doesn't affect the timeline you came from.
Exactly. So, like, eventually what would happen is
It's MCU
the
rules.
present would catch up with the time where the T1000 was sent from, and things would move forward from there. But that future doesn't change. You gotta. So physicists who think about this stuff, right? Who try to do the math. There is no just erasing things, right? Like that's not going to happen. You're not going to erase an entire branch. What's going to happen is you're going to end up creating like an alternate dimension sort of deal, right? Because matter doesn't just disappear, right? In physics, we know that matter doesn't just disappear. It's consistently recycled. Just because somebody changes something doesn't mean it would just disappear. What would happen is that the T1000 would be sent back. There would never be a way for him to move forward, which is interesting because the only person who theorized time travel was Albert Einstein, and Albert Einstein theorized that you could go forward in time but never backwards. Well, James Cameron decided for his canon you could go backwards but never forwards, right? And so what would happen is the T1000 would be sent from, let's just say, 2100, right? Let's just say 2100. It was less than that, but let's just say it. So he would come back to 1992. If he wasn't attacked or found out or destroyed, he would survive all the way back through 2100. Now, if he was successful in his mission, John Connor would be dead. So there'd be no one to lead the resistance through the future. So Skynet would have ultimate control, right?
So they basically sent him back to kill John Connor to make that timeline Skynet more successful.
Yes.
So it doesn't affect their future; it affects this timeline. Or like I said, so it's MCU rules.
Yes.
So all you're doing is solidifying somebody else's future.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing anything to your own until, well, you're long and dead. Because like if
It won't affect their future.
what?
It doesn't affect their future that they're in.
No, but as a machine, Skynet understands that with the removal of John Connor, it will have a much easier time as they go from that point forward, right? Because Skynet doesn't just disappear. It as a machine, it does all these calculations like, okay, well, I'm struggling to do this. Like there's all this fighting. If we get rid of this guy, then from that point forward, it's significantly easier, but it's not going to change what happens then. And then, of course, it all gets way more complicated with Terminator Dark Fate, because then what happens is John Connor is dead, but then Fate steps in, right? And it's like, well, there always has to be a resistance leader. It's going to be somebody new, and that ends up being what happens. Skynet can't win because it's just another person will step up into the role.
So that doesn't make any sense. So if John Connor, let's say the T-1000 kills him.
Yes.
Okay. John Connor's dead.
Yep.
So there is no John Connor.
Becomes aware. Yep.
Okay. So that timeline the
timeline that the T-1000.
Then you're not. Hold on. You're not going back in your timeline. Then you're going back in somebody else's, because that doesn't make any sense. So if you go back in your timeline, hold on, man. God, you can tell me I'm wrong in a minute. When you go back in your timeline and you take out the T-1000, takes out John Connor.
Yep.
Okay. Now there's no John Connor to lead a resistance in that timeline, the timeline that sent him back. So it's not the same timeline anymore.
But it is, because again, in James Cameron's universe, right? You can go back in time, but you can't go forward. So think about it this way. The reason you can't go forward is because if the T-1000 went back in time and was successful in killing John Connor, right? It changes everything. So there would be no future for him to return to. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's where the problem lies. The problem lies that if the T-1000 started at this foot soldier spear, right? This is where he comes from. And then he goes all the way back and he kills John Connor and he's successful. Well, now this whole thing doesn't exist. It's gone. So where would he go back to? He would go back to nowhere. That's why he can't go forward in time. That's why in James Cameron's universe, you can only travel backwards, because anything you do is going to change the future. So once you go back, all that doesn't exist. Like you can't access it anymore.
So it's not MCU rules then.
So for you, it doesn't exist. Where it comes into the MCU rules would be the people living in that timeline would continue living it out, but you would never be able to get back into it.
Okay.
The argument is things just don't disappear, right? Because Back to the Future is like, oh, you make a change, it disappears.
But you contradicted yourself.
No, I didn't. I'm trying to explain.
Hold on. Because you said I don't have a foot soldier spear to use as a picture here, but you said if you went to the end of the foot soldier spear and killed John Connor.
Yes.
You said that then the rest of you said then the rest of that now is gone. That's why he can't go back to it.
Yes, because he can't get back to it because he's got
I don't give a fuck if he can't travel forward. That's fine. But you said it's gone. I'm just using your word.
It's gone.
Can I take credit for this argument, by the way? I just want to throw that out there.
Look,
this was my topic.
So is it gone or not?
Okay, so I actually said it was gone and then explained how it was gone.
So
it's gone for him.
It does disappear.
No, it's gone for him because there's no way for him to ever access it again. It's not gone for the people that are currently living it.
But
right, they don't just disappear, is what I'm saying.
The ones that are there still living in it, nothing changes. It's still hell.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So, right.
And in that one, John Connor's still alive, right? Because his stuff just doesn't disappear. But for the T-1000, for all intents and purposes, it's gone because there's no way for him to access it. He can't travel back into it.
So
it's
Tony,
been changed.
Here's what it is. You have Timeline A and Timeline C. Timeline A sent Terminator to Timeline C to make it easier for Skynet and Timeline C to succeed. To
Okay,
help-
so that's my point. You're not
the
doing
thing.
anything for your timeline. You're
No, but-
hoping that you make a change for your other life's timeline.
But it's Skynet, and I would assume I haven't watched all the movies, and I
It can't be
remember all of
sentient
them.
across timelines.
No,
what?
but it knows the mathematical calculations, and that's what it's talking about. It doesn't give
Oh.
a shit about timelines, Tony. It gives a shit about if I get rid of the resistance leader, then it's easier for me to do what I need to do. You also have to think about it this way. The first Terminator movie happens, right? So like John Connor sends Kyle Reese back. And then shortly after that event, they send another Terminator. That's when the T-1000 is sent back.
To the
shortly
same
after that.
timeline.
Exactly.
Because they're trying to get Timeline C to be successful.
Because again, Skynet doesn't forget things. So we're talking the span of like maybe an hour.
An
in the
ex-girlfriend.
maybe an hour in the future, right? So like an hour ago, they sent Kyle Reese and the first Terminator back. And then before they could escape the facility, right, they get attacked by Terminators, and John Connor captures a T-800, reprograms it.
Yeah,
And then the T-1000 is sent back in time, and then John Connor sends the reprogrammed T-800 back in time. But in the future timeline, only about an hour has passed. The only thing that changed from the first movie to the second movie is that Kyle Reese is now dead.
The only really fucked up part of the whole thing, when you really think
the
about
only
it, is that John Connor could have sent the T-800 back a couple years before the T-1000 and just got him to a completely different fucking area that they would have never sent the T-1000 to. Like,
Except remember, it was damaged. They tell you that too, that the time travel device was damaged, so they had to lock on. However the hell they did it, they had to lock onto the T-1000 signal and follow that back to wherever it was sent. They couldn't choose the date or anything.
now, did they ever say amongst the movies that, just for the sake of argument, the different timelines, that the Skynets would be able to converse across the timelines? Like if the one in timeline C gets successful without John Connor, could then Skynet A talk to Skynet C and then start taking over all the timelines with Skynet and be like a super.
So in Terminator Genesis, that does happen. That movie is terrible. There's a lot more time travel happening in that movie. There's a lot more communication between the different timelines. But that stuff does happen. And then again, like one of the ideas that they used for Dark Fate, which was the Terminator showing back up and killing John Connor, happens in Terminator 3. Halfway through the movie, you find out that John Connor is dead because Skynet sends a Terminator dressed exactly like the Terminator from Terminator 2, and he just kills John Connor, and so John Connor's wife becomes the head of the Resistance.
I don't want to overshadow what Joe's saying here, but your point does not make sense to me. Where if your Terminator 2 thought processing here, right?
Yep.
Or 1 and 2. I'm sorry. Terminator 1. Terminator's crushed. The T-800. It goes away. Kyle Reese is dead. Sarah lives her life.
Yeah.
Terminator 2, which is a continuance of the first one because she ends up in the asylum.
Yes.
She had John.
Yep.
She ends up in the asylum. And now she's like, they claim she's psycho and John's living his best life.
Oh, he's psycho.
And now they send back a T-1000 because they're like, well, now we got to kill youth John because he got born.
Yep.
They send back the T-1000. Now they're like, well, we got to have somebody to protect John, so let's send back the T-800.
Yeah.
They send back the T-800.
Right.
They all succeed. Well, they all. The T-1000 is destroyed. The chip is destroyed. The arm is destroyed. The Pete of the chip is destroyed. The arm is destroyed. The T-800 is destroyed. There is no evidence of Skynet or anything in that timeline anymore.
Right.
So based on that, Sarah and John should have a normal life with no Skynet and the rest of that timeline.
Right.
Well, so what you find out in Terminator 3 is that they do live a life until Sarah Connor dies of cancer. But because of all the crazy things that happen, they can't live a normal life, right? John doesn't go to school. Sarah never gets married or anything. John never has a stable place to live. His mom is afraid to stay in any one place because she's afraid they'll send something else back. So they can't live a regular, normal life because she in her heart doesn't believe Skynet's actually gone. And then it turns out that Skynet isn't gone because there was other branches of Skynet, and that the information on the chip that had been being worked on in the lab they destroyed in LA was also present in another lab because the government was involved with the development of the chip.
So then the timelines are flawed. It's not because there's, oh, we can't continue on with this one if it creates another timeline. It's got nothing to do with it. It's because the shit never actually went away.
Well,
so they keep sending people back because the shit never never stopped. So it's like,
nothing was successful. Nothing changed.
They keep trying to kill
so they
John
didn't really
Connor
destroy,
so he doesn't help the resistance.
At the end of Terminator 2, where they mulch everybody, right? Call it what you want. Everybody gets murked.
Yeah.
But that's fine that happened, but it's not completely done because that information went somewhere else, another chip, another whatever. There's information somewhere else that Skynet can still succeed and go on to be Skynet. So the future never changes. So it's a continuing cycle. So it's not that it's multiple timelines. It's one timeline and nothing got rectified.
But they never tell you it got fixed. Sarah says for the first time she's able to move forward not knowing what's going to happen. They never tell you it was done. They never tell you that Cyberdyne being destroyed.
That's true. At the end of Terminator 2.
They never say it. She's like, well, we have to destroy all your research. Okay, we'll destroy it all. But remember, this is 1992. While the internet wasn't around for general release, like most people didn't have it at home until America Online in 1995, the government, especially the military, absolutely used the internet. And we find out in Terminator 3 that the military was funding Cyberdyne to make Skynet because they wanted a next generation AI powered soldier. And that's the whole goal. And so when Cyberdyne was destroyed, the employees didn't know it, but all that information was backed up in the government. And in Terminator 3, you find out that the guy in charge of the program from the government had dealt with Miles Dyson, right? Like he was a contractor, but Miles didn't know that he was actually for the government, and he was storing and saving the work and working on it more. So when Cyberdyne was destroyed, it helped the government because then they were the only people working on it. Nobody could say, hey, what are you doing? Right? Like, we're not ready for this. What are you doing? And then it goes online, infects everything, and the world ends. It just gets delayed. Instead of it being 1999, it happens in 2003.
So Tony, what your 1 and 2, if you only like the first two movies, then yes, that timeline, they live the happy life doing whatever. Now, if you go into the third movie, we're like, oh, we need to make another one. We need a reason. They start doing all the little plot holes. Oh no, the government was involved, and they extend it. Then that's where you're going. Then yeah, it just continues because it wasn't there, and they keep sending people back to kill John Connor so he doesn't help the resistance.
Right. So my argument, my frustration came from, I felt like the crowd was trying to justify the timelines and that it's like, oh, that timeline doesn't change. Well, obviously it does, because I feel like what you guys are saying, you're almost contradicting yourselves, because I'm sitting here, you guys are talking about like, well, it's not that timeline, it's this timeline, it's this timeline. Well, it's not, because with what Psycho just said, you're proving what I'm thinking in my brain, because originally I'm like, okay, they're gonna have to sway me because I don't understand what they're saying. But now you're talking like, well, you find out in 3 it didn't really get destroyed. Well, then it doesn't fucking matter, because that means 2 was fruitless. It looked like everything got taken away, but all they did was in the third one take more cinematic liberty. And so now it's like, well, we didn't really destroy all of it because now it's over here with the government. So that timeline didn't stop. It kept going. It wasn't successful as they lead you to believe at the end of Terminator 2.
again, and that's and it's because nobody is successful. The Terminators aren't successful, so nothing changes. It's the same timeline. The first Terminator gets destroyed. The T-1000 gets destroyed, right? Like nothing changes because nobody's successful, but it's also, right, as fans, we want it to end well, right? Like if we go back, I see you, Chris. Give me 1 second. If we go back to the end of Terminator 2, Sarah Connor never says, and we lived happily ever after. She says for the first time in a long time, she moves to the future not knowing what's going to happen, which gives her the ability to have hope.
Right.
It never says they were successful. It never says they lived happily ever after. It never says Skynet doesn't show up. It says it can't happen the way that it was supposed to happen. She no longer knows what's going to happen, and that is comforting for her because she doesn't have the sword of Damocles hanging over her head waiting to crash down on her.
First of all, it's testicles, but all right.
It's not.
So
I need more ice. I need a one.
He completely shut off. Okay. I was with the whole MCU rules on this,
Yes.
except that you can't go forward in time. I'm with it,
Yeah.
but how
What do you mean?
does Skynet in what I deem as timeline A that they get sent from, right?
Uh-huh.
How do they know that the Terminator wasn't successful?
I don't know. And that's where the loophole is in this whole thing.
All right. I thought you were going to give me something like,
No.
they just keep sending like, oh, he might not have been successful. Let's send another one just in case. Like,
yeah, I mean, the loophole in this whole thing is we don't know how Skynet would know. We only know that Skynet's not successful because we're the audience and we're watching it.
right.
We don't know how Skynet knows whether or not it's successful. Because again, it's like if the
Tony,
T-1000
did you hear the question? Tony,
I'm
did you
sorry.
hear the question that we're talking about?
I stepped away to get ice. What am I?
No, I know. Sometimes you can hear us when you're off. But what I inquired was, how does Skynet from timeline A that's sending the Terminators to timeline C, right? How does Skynet in timeline A know that the T-800 wasn't successful enough to send the T-1000, and then that the T-1000 wasn't successful to send the chick in the third one? How do they know that they weren't successful?
I don't know if there's any way they could have. There's no way for them to transmit the information back and forth.
Well, that's what Psycho's answering.
What I said. What I said was they don't. That's the loophole. Like that's the loophole that I see as the biggest issue.
Loophole or plot hole? Because I think it's a plot hole.
Yeah, I mean it's plot hole too. But it's like we don't know what's going on. The only reason that we have any idea is because we're the audience and we're seeing the Terminators not be successful, right? Because there's a ton of other problems with it. Right? It's like if we just take it at Terminator 2, the way you look at it, there shouldn't be any way to move forward.
That should have been the end of the series based on what they're saying.
Until Terminator 3, when they're like, oh, except that the government was involved and they had backups on all the files because they were funding this whole thing.
So if Joe is accurate that they do travel forward in time in the future in Genesis, then it would suggest that it is the same timeline, that there isn't the multiple timeline scenario. It's the same timeline.
And that's the problem with Genesis. That's why I said Genesis was a terrible movie.
Well, is it terrible or does it prove the point? And that's what makes you think it's terrible.
So, like, first of all, it's a terrible movie. They try to replay all the best scenes of the first 3 movies, and it doesn't work. Right? Like, they hire a guy who has no charisma to be Kyle Reese. They try to rewrite the story. It's a terrible, terrible film. Not to mention that the trailer for the movie gave away the most important part of the movie long before the movie even released.
That he was a robot?
Yeah, that John Connor had already been killed and was actually a Terminator in disguise. Right? So, like, and it doesn't tell you how that helps it, right? Like, what is the point of him being? So if John Connor in the future was already a Terminator, what the hell was the point of sending anybody anywhere? Like,
well, they make the comment. If you remember, Kyle Reese makes the comment in the first Terminator, and he goes, "We were fighting, but they got to the point where we couldn't tell who was who. They had bad breath, they sweat, all the things that assimilated them to make them as human as possible."
Yes.
Well, that would correlate to why in Terminator 3 or Genesis that John Connor would be a Terminator, because nothing would say otherwise.
But then it raises the question that why, if John Connor's already dead and he's already a Terminator, why are you sending back anybody to kill anybody? He's already dead, right? Like, so if John Connor in the future as the Resistance leader is already a Terminator,
what if he's reprogrammed by the original John Connor?
No, because you're the one causing the problem for yourself.
Hold on. The only way you can go against that is to say that he didn't die, obviously, as a child. He grew up, he got older, then he died, and then they made a Terminator of him, whatever, right? So if you kill him as a kid, he never gets to the point where he could be made into a Terminator at that point.
Yes, but they never, again, part of the issue narratively is they never explain when he becomes a Terminator in Terminator Genesis. They never explain it. They just show you that he is a Terminator, right? And he only, like, he shows that to his mother when his mother goes into the future to try to help him. And he's like, I don't need your help. Like, I'm good. And he turns out he's a Terminator and tries to kill her. And it's like, then what the hell is the point of everything that we've done? When did you become a Terminator? Right? Like, how long has this been a thing? And so it's crazy. The whole thing doesn't work out. And again, it's like all the rules that existed in the original one. Yeah, I saw what Joe put in. All the rules that existed in the first three seem to like disappear in Terminator Genesis. Now all of a sudden they can travel forward and backwards in time. It's like, Skynet learned how to make it so it's not a one-way ticket. It's like, okay, how and when? When did that happen?
So I think I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that this is more not so much for.
So it's not timeline.
What?
No, so it's not multiple timelines then.
It's not. I thoroughly believe it's one timeline. I'm sorry, but I don't think it's so much for scientific accuracy. I feel like the movies keep coming out for just cinematic value. Yeah, it's like, and they don't really stop to say, okay, if somebody really picked this apart, where would the flaws in this be? And there's so many because you're playing with timelines and you're playing with back and forth through time.
Right.
And I guess in case in point, you're sitting here saying we can never go back to the future. They make that comment in the first and second movie. We can never go forward. We can't go to the future. We can only go back in time and then work our way forward again, right? Like any other person would. But now you're saying, again, Genesis comes out and it's like, no, we have the ability to go forward. Well, now you've negated so many things in the previous movies to help further to explain more movies you are going to make. It has nothing to do with whether or not the timeline makes sense. I think 1 and 2 happened. And I think when you had 1 or 2, the timeline or the movie, the series, whatever, stopped. Ultimately, it stopped. It was done. You could have finished it there. They defeated it. They took out Skynet. It's never going to exist. Humanity will live on and everything will be beautiful. And instead of doing that to create more cinematography or what have you, they bring out the next movie and they're like, oh, by the way, the government had a piece of it. And so it keeps going. So that's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like a bunch of bullshit.
So
it's the Alien 3 problem.
According to James Cameron, in the original Terminator movies, so T1 and T2, there are 3 timelines. There's the Alpha timeline, which is the original one, where Skynet becomes aware, self-aware in 1999, launches Judgment Day, and the Resistance wins the war, sending Kyle Reese back to 1984, right? Then, when Kyle Reese is sent back, we get timeline 1, which is the first Terminator movie, which Kyle Reese arrives, meets Sarah Connor, is killed, but his DNA impregnates her, creating John Connor. The T-800 is destroyed. Its chip is reverse engineered by Cyberdyne, which leads to the creation of Skynet. And then you get timeline 2 from that, which is what encompasses Terminator 2, which is a new T-800 from a new future, is sent back. But the Resistance sends back a reprogrammed T-800 to protect John and Sarah. They destroy Cyberdyne, preventing Judgment Day in 1997, but Sarah dies later of cancer, leading to a new Judgment Day in 2004, and that's when the timeline for the rest of the movie starts. So according to James Cameron, he was even thinking of a third movie where it wasn't wrapped up, it wasn't finished. He didn't come up with the cancer thing or anything else, but when they asked him to kind of like explain how it worked, in his mind, that's how it worked.
So the second movie is a different timeline as well.
No, the second movie is a different timeline because
that's what I said.
They sent another one back. It's not completely different. They're connected together. They're branches, but they're different.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Who sent Kyle Reese back?
John Connor.
For what purpose?
To fuck his mom.
For what purpose?
Probably because he was one of the only soldiers that was there and available, but also because he knew that Kyle was his father.
So how did Kyle?
And then Anakin's Luke's father. So,
but the question, is that if that's the case, how did the John Connor in the future become a thing?
Okay, so here's where things get complicated, right?
Here's where they get complicated.
There's
Tony, do you see the question I'm asking? If Kyle Reese is sent by John Connor to fuck John Connor's mom to then give birth to John Connor, where did the original John Connor come from?
Yeah, and so
Terminator dick.
No, so
Arnold?
Two things, right?
Big enough.
It's two things, right?
What?
So, it's this idea that in Terminator, there's fate, right? Like
Terminator, all right.
Because
now fate, you're telling when you keep saying fate, that sounds more supernatural to me. But go ahead.
Yeah, so you get the mention of fate from Kyle Reese when Kyle says, there is no fate but what we make for ourselves. The future isn't written. There is no fate but what we make for ourselves, right? And so that's where fate is brought up. But there's this idea that everything exists simultaneously, right? And so when I was in college and I was studying comics, my final paper that I wrote as my independent study course was about time and time manipulation in comic books. And I likened it to Terminator, right? Because in comics, you have this theory of vectors, and vectors are important because where the characters are looking on the page are important indicators of what's going on and in what order you should be reading things or interpreting things. And in comic books, everything exists simultaneously. And there's this idea that in Terminator, it's the same thing, right? Or so like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, how do you answer that question? Because you can't get a chicken without an egg, and you can't get an egg without a chicken.
The egg came first.
But how?
Evolution.
What laid the egg?
A dinosaur.
Labia.
That's not a thing, actually, because it's...
A dinosaur's not a thing?
No, I was responding to Tony.
I didn't hear what he said.
He said labia.
Oh, well, fair.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So
evolution. We learned this.
But again, a dinosaur would give birth to a dinosaur.
Eventually, but evolution as they evolve. So technically, the chicken would evolve from something of it, and then the first evolution of that, then you get.
Again, so we're talking semantically right now. So like, if a chicken didn't lay the egg that created the chicken, what laid the egg that created the chicken? And how did it know to create the chicken?
From.
So again, it's this concept that everything exists simultaneously in this universe, right? It's a very comic book oriented understanding of time. And you can't take a piece away because it doesn't matter. It's not the vector that I'm talking about.
Sorry.
I
So,
thought I thought that picture he was holding a chicken too.
it's very
With the gun.
it's a very complicated thing. And I mean,
So was our relationship. I just feel like you should know that.
I love my comic courses when I was in school, and I actually took these classes with the guy who created comic courses for college, for colleges, for the ability to study comics.
On colleges, yeah.
So there's no real answer to where the original John Connor came from, other than that there was fate that created him anyways without Kyle Reese.
No, I mean Kyle Reese was there somehow. That's again, you don't know how it works. Kyle Reese was there somehow. John Connor couldn't exist without Kyle Reese. Kyle Reese couldn't exist without John Connor. It's like
somehow Kyle Reese in that timeline, if there's multiple times, somehow Kyle Reese got sent from another timeline.
Maybe
that timeline.
Yes, Tony.
Thank you. So there's also the understanding that Terminator and Alien exist in the same universe. How do you explain that if the characters are in both movies?
And Predator.
And Predator.
I mean, that's just called genes. That's genetics. I mean, the simple argument can be made that, like, say Hicks and Hudson, right, from Aliens, that Hudson, which is Bill Paxton, that his lineage just goes back to the detective in Predator 2, and then the punk in Terminator 1, right? You just say it's the same family genes, that family tree. That, I mean, I feel like that you can say that's the best about any character who has the same actor in a movie in the future versus a movie in the past.
So what about Hicks, where Hicks was a futuristic character, right? Because Kyle Reese,
Aliens much further in the future.
Okay, so Aliens was further in the future.
Much, yeah. Because you got.
What if he changed his name to Kyle Hicks so he wouldn't be noticed by Skynet in the future?
The one thing that I like to think, and it's just because it's my own headcanon, is that Skynet designed the T-800 to look like Arnold, right? Because it's actually based on Dutch, who beat a Predator, and they're like, oh, that's like a peak performance, and they designed their T-800 to look like that because he beat a Predator. There's no official to that, but that's just my headcanon.
So you're thinking that Skynet's like, he is the epitome of human perfection, that he's able to take down this creature from another world, and that we should model our Terminators after him.
Yeah.
Wow, for human extinction. That's pretty fucking good, because if you had the epitome of human perfection, why wouldn't that be what you want to take out, create human extinction? Psycho, you look like you're about to like regurgitate something out your mouth. You just Googled.
Because then they create the T-1000 that's nothing like Arnold.
In Terminator 3, it explains why the T-800 looks the way that it does.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it's headcanon.
It's probably because of the first one.
It's headcanon. You can't be right against my headcanon, fucker. It's my headcanon.
I didn't say I was like, right or wrong. I'm just saying in Terminator 3,
I need your clothes.
The way that
but we still need to.
I need your gray sweatpants and your boots.
And
we still need to appreciate. We still need to appreciate the fact that Bill Paxton is the only actor to be killed by a Terminator, a Predator, and aliens. That's all.
And a tornado. No, I'm just kidding.
You know, I wish that I could remember the name of this specific comic, but it's the one I wrote my paper about, and if I could find it, I would have it. But there's this center page in this Donald Duck comic, and yeah, it's crazy. Like
there's a centerfold in Donald Duck. Is she like half naked? Like,
it's a comic. It's not a.
It's not the old like 1930s supremacy comics. I hope, because that was a thing with Disney.
So, at the beginning of this page, like if you picture opening up to the center of a comic, here we read from left to right, from top to bottom, right? So the very first thing you see when you open this page is this giant like rocket in the center. It's like, it looks like a rocket or a bomb. And
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
It's got this weird lightning bolt design in this that goes across both pages that draws your attention immediately, right? So as soon as you open it up, the first thing your eyes are going to be drawn to is this bomb hanging in the center of the page, right? And then if you don't see that first, everything that happens on the left-hand side of the page when you're reading it would not make sense to you. Because if you block that part out, all you see when you open that page is Donald Duck running for his life. You have no context. You don't know what's going on. And several of the panels are just Donald running from different angles. He's just running for his life. And you can tell he's running really fast. His legs are spinning. He's got the sweat like popping out of his head. And you don't know what's going on. But it's the fact that you can see into the future, right? Because again, when you're looking at a comic page, what's happening on the right is happening after what's happening on the left.
Right.
You open this centerfold and you see that bomb hanging from the top immediately. So seeing into the future allows you to look at the first panel you're supposed to read and understand why Donald is running for his life. If you take that away, you don't understand what's happening. And that's the concept I'm talking about with everything existing at once in Terminator, right? It's this idea that you have to understand that something has to happen first for you to have any of these other things happening. You just have to accept it. Opening that centerfold comic, you wouldn't immediately skip to the middle to read a story. But the way that it's designed, you skip so that you understand what's going on. The artist designed it specifically to draw your attention to it so that you could go back and understand. In Terminator, it's the same thing. Kyle has to go back in time because without it, there's no other story. And it doesn't matter that John already exists to send Kyle back, because if Kyle doesn't go back, there's no John, right? So you just have to kind of accept that because there's no explanation for it. You can't have an explanation. None of it makes sense unless that happens. And so that's kind of where things just have to fit in.
It's just like an infinity loop that you, like I said, you just have to accept it is what it is, but I want answers. It doesn't fucking make sense.
Yeah, you're right. There are a lot of aspects of a lot of things that don't make sense.
So what did we bring up before that? We were talking about something. It made me think of something, and I'm like, oh, crap. It would have sparked a whole other conversation. It had to do, we were talking about Terminator, but then we talked about a different movie.
Earlier?
No, like just now. Either Psycho or you made a comment. Oh, Predator, Alien. About the timelines existing. Oh.
That they're all in the same timeline?
I guess. So where would Alien fall into play with that? Where would the aliens themselves, forget about plural or singular, don't think about the movies. Where would the actual aliens themselves fall into that? The xenomorphs.
In all reality, they kind of don't. When you really look at it, because with how far in the future Aliens is.
So is that past Predator or pre-Predator?
What, Aliens? Predator is current. So whenever the movies come out, it's essentially current.
Okay, but all right, I'm sorry. So I'm not as well versed, right? So is Predator a vintage notion, meaning like a present day American notion, or is it like we first saw the first Predator in like 2028?
No. The first Predator would have been essentially in the 80s. Like it takes place current.
Okay, so the Predators are not a futuristic race. Whereas the xenomorphs, when we encounter them, the universe, hold on, based on the movies. So the xenomorphs, in all for rights and purposes, are us out in space exploring, and we run into the xenomorphs.
So,
correct?
Yes. For the xenomorphs that we know of them, until you get like Alien versus Predator, they take place current day as well.
Okay. So before we get too far into that, I know it's long, and I know we could probably get into a long dissertation about that shit. What do you want to do? We've been on it for 2 hours.
I mean, I'm good. It's up to you guys.
It's been
Oh, if
2
you wanna
hours,
s-
so I don't know anybody
If
else.
you
who's gonna
want,
hang
you know
on here.
what? Let's do this. Let's save the Alien and the Predator for another episode. That way, Joe could, because I know Joe wants to get on with Alien and Predator because he's a huge
Yeah,
Alien and Predator fan. as
he's
well.
all about it, and we need a lot of time for Psycho to Google everything.
I don't need to Google anything for Alien and Predator because anything Chris says, I'm just going to go with.
You're
He
so
knows that
full of
right.
shit. Your eyes are brown. He's gonna say something, and you're gonna
He'll
be like,
absolutely Google something.
"Hold on."
Like,
And
I
I've
feel
not
like
seen you
right
fix
now
your
he's
glasses
already
once. I'm
Googling,
disappointed.
like I feel like, John, tell me if I feel like you've at least this evening Googled when the Alien movies take place to see how much further in the future they are from Terminator.
To be honest, no, I didn't. I've been
Oh, I
trying to
figured you
look
were doing
for. I've been trying to look for that comic book so I can show you guys what I was talking about, and I haven't been able to find the panels online to view anywhere. But no, I've told you before. Anything Chris says about Alien and Predator, I just go with. He knows way more about that stuff than I do, so I'm not going to be like, "That's not true." I only watched all the Alien movies because of Chris originally. I had seen the second one multiple times, and then I'd seen the first one. And Chris is like, "You never seen these other ones?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "We're going to watch all of them." So we watched them. And right as we got ready to start the third one, I'll never forget this. We were hanging out at Chris's house. We went and got food after the second one. We got some pizza and we brought it back. And he's like, "All right, before this movie gets started, it sucks." And I'm like, "Then why do I want to watch it?" He's like, "It's a terrible movie, but you have to watch it." So
But it's
we
necessary to the timeline.
watched it.
I liked
And
it.
then-
I like the third one. I'm like one of the only people that does.
And then
Weird, man.
And then Chris was like, "The fourth one's a little bit better, but it's also bad."
So that's like
So-
Child's Play. The first, the second, the third one, I think, is when they're at the camp, right? The military camp.
Child's Play, yeah, they're at the military camp. Yeah,
Fucking hate that one.
the only
And then-
Child's Play movie I hate is Seed of Chucky.
That's fucking terrible too.
Yeah, all the other Chuckies, I like them for their own reasons. But the third, yeah, that Seed of Chucky, I will not watch that ever again. That is fucking horrible.
And I'll tell you this, right? Chris and I watched Alien vs. Predator together, and Chris is like, "It's bad, but it's bad in a good way." So we watched it, and it was entertaining. I'll give it that; it was entertaining. And then when Alien vs. Predator Requiem came out, I remember telling Chris I wanted to see it, and Chris is like, "Don't watch that movie." And to this day, I have never seen that movie. He said, "Don't watch it." I didn't watch it.
There's no need to watch that Travis
so-
people film.
And
I
then and then when The Predator came out, I asked Chris, I'm like, "How was it?" He's like, "Not good." And he's like, "But there's a scene in there. I think it was the laboratory scene." He's like, "You need to watch the movie just for that." And I watched the movie just for that part.
Because it's basically
So-
John Wick as a predator. Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
So with the Alien and the Predator like interacting, I don't want to get too far into it, man. We really should save this for next week. But just one last thing I have to put out there real quick. I have such a problem with you have two entities conversing that really they absolutely should, right? They should interact. But the Predator is what it is. The Predator's a hunter. Call it what it is. He's just a hunter. That's what he was supposed to be. He's
Yeah.
designed to hunt and kill. Call him a alien Terminator if you want, but there's no objective other than they're made to hunt and kill. The aliens, the xenomorphs, are designed almost like swarms of insects.
Yeah.
They're designed to eat, reproduce, and colonize and take over.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
based, that's why even like in Aliens, they mention like, "Oh, we're on a bug hunt," because they're just bugs.
They're in an infestation. That's all they are.
Yeah.
But they are the most fucked up infestation you could ever have.
They're
Anyway.
created to be that. Yes.
So I do like in the first one, I think it's the very first one, where doesn't the dog get eaten? That's the first casualty in the very first Alien movie.
The third movie, a dog gets eaten.
What was the very first casualty in the very first Alien movie?
The guy who gets the chest buster.
Yeah.
The first casualty. It wasn't a cat or an alien.
No.
The cat survives the first movie. So the very first movie, they find the planet because there's the beacon or whatever, right? They go to the planet.
I'm
And
confusing the
then-
movies.
Yeah,
Yes.
they go to the planet, and then the egg opens and jumps on his face, through the mask, the helmet. They
Yeah,
bring him
yeah,
back
yeah.
on the ship, and then they're sitting there eating dinner, and it just fucking pops out of his chest and scared the shit out of the cast because none of them knew how it was gonna go.
Well, that's the hello, my baby, hello, my honey, right? That's what.
And Spaceballs.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, exactly. But like nobody knew what was gonna happen. So like I don't remember the actress's name, but in the movie she plays like one of the pilots.
Blonde. Yeah.
Lambert, I think was her character name. But like she lets out like a horrifying, death-defying scream. And she gets like covered in blood because she had no idea. Like it was a legit fear for her life.
So this is the first one.
Yeah.
All right, so hold on, don't go anywhere.
That's Alien, yeah.
We're doing one thing before we go to sleep here or log off. First chest burster scene. All right, you guys ready?
Oh, we're gonna show it? I'm down.
Goddamn right we are.
I don't know who's watching still. I've oh, it's Joe. It's gotta be Joe. He just said the Alien 3, the dog comes in. All right, yeah.
All right, hold up. We're gonna watch this because it's not gonna be a problem, and then we'll call it. I would say, Chris, we probably should call it
Yeah. I'm down.
because this
We'll
could
do
go
Alien.
on.
We can do Alien next week. I'm down.
This is gonna get nuts if we've got Joe on here. You guys are gonna be talking forever. Be telling
I
me.
think
to shut
Jose
up
will want to be part of that.
Yeah,
too.
if you don't, I was gonna say if you don't invite Jose, that's gonna be a problem.
Well, he's Spanish. All right, you guys good?
They're always late. Yep.
I get back is to get some decent
Loud.
food. I can dig it.
Turn it down a little
Loud.
bit.
Eating breast from this, but then it tastes better. You know what I'm saying?
You pound down the stuff.
Her.
Uh-huh. I'd rather eat something else, but right now I'm thinking food. You just know you know what it's made of. No, man. I don't want to talk about what it's made of. I'm eating this. What's the matter?
Hold up. Who was the guy who looked over? What is his fucking name?
Ian Holm.
Isn't he
That's Ash.
Bilbo in fucking Lord of the Rings?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Another one of those movies.
But see,
The actors
he knows what's going on, which is why he looked like that. I guess they must have let him in
the
on what was
character-
happening because the
character
character
knows.
knows. Yeah.
The character knows what's happening. Yeah. I think the only person who I think they said the only person who really knew the aspect of like the chest burster, I believe they said was Sigourney Weaver was the only one who really knew what was going to happen, and obviously the actor that plays Kane, who
John Hurt.
died.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
I mean, I think that he knows.
We got to do more reaction videos. Why did this futuristic pen?
I think it was a spoon. Yeah, it's a spoon.
Oh. Motherfucker just had a period out of his chest.
Yeah, they didn't know that was going to happen.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. Oh, touch it. Don't touch it.
Where's his top hat?
Mm-hmm.
So see, even in that scene, like when the first explosion happens, even the android Ash, who he knows what's happening, the character knows what's happening, but even the actor, you see the look on his face when that happens. He didn't know that was going to happen either. He was like, "Whoa, like what?"
So Ash is the one that Frodo, right? It's called, or not Frodo, Bilbo.
Bilbo.
He's the one that Ripley gets caught in the room with, and he has like a fucking meltdown, right?
Tries to
Yeah.
kill her. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love Ash in the later ones, right? Different android in the second and third.
That's Bishop. That's the Lance
Bishop. I'm
Henriksen.
sorry, it's Bishop. Yeah. I love Bishop where he second and third, right?
Mhm.
The second one where he gets fucked up, the alien, the Queen alien, like rips him in half.
Yep.
And he's like not bad for a human, like to Ripley. And that's what's his name? That's the same dude from fucking
Lance Henriksen. Yeah, that's what Chris was saying.
yeah, earlier. And then
Yeah.
in the third one, I love how she like digs him out of the trash and like lays him down, and she's like hooking him up, and he's like like the shit's coming out of his mouth. And she's
Yeah,
like, talk to me what happened.
Definitely
And
not good.
didn't the alien come out of Newt in the third one?
You never see anything like that. She's
You
dead.
don't see it, but don't they imply that's what happened?
They
Yes.
imply that there was a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
She had died, and when she died, it's because she was impregnated with an alien.
No, because then there would have been an alien on the ship, right? So the only person who was impregnated was actually Sigourney Weaver, right? Ripley.
But when she dies in the third movie at the end, when she jumps
Just-
over the side,
Ripley, yeah.
it's because she has a face hugger inside her that comes out. Well, not a face hugger, but
She has a queen chest buster coming out of
And
her.
she's holding it in.
So that's why I don't understand the reference. So the only reason they let her live is because there's a queen in her, not because it's just a regular fucking alien.
Who let her live?
The other aliens in the movie, because she would come face to face and they wouldn't kill her.
Right. So yes. So it's not because it was a queen, it's just because it was another alien. Like, so the aliens, their purpose is to spread. Why are they going to kill somebody who's helping them spread?
So what's the significance of her having the queen? I gotta stop. This is gonna go on too far,
Yeah,
and then like next Thursday is gonna be ruined. Sorry.
I will say this. There is an interview that I saw recently with James Cameron and Michael Biehn on Michael Bihn's podcast where they're talking about Alien 3. And if you guys haven't seen that, I would definitely
I'll rewatch it.
I would definitely give that a watch because it's also very, very good. And it's funny to hear Michael Biehn. He's like, they wanted him to come back for 5 minutes and they were going to pay him like a ridiculous amount of money. He said no. He was mad that they were killing that character for no reason. That fast in the film, he's like, I don't care what you offer me. I'm not doing it.
Did anybody in the first Alien realize how hard it was to see the alien hidden?
Yeah,
Where,
that's the whole
Sigourney
point.
Weaver
Yeah,
finally
'cause
realizes it's there.
he's right there. Yeah, he's supposed to be right there in front of you the whole time. He just
Scares the
blends in because they're
fucking-
so mechanical.
To this day, still freaks me out that she didn't notice it was there. And it's a great scene where she's like slowly putting on the suit. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, ooh, Sigourney Weaver got them drawers on.
That we've been told that they had to digitally remove the bush from. So
Yeah, you could have called it Sigourney Beaver because she had a whole damn head of hair under there. Listen,
all right.
separate match the drapes in color and length.
So with that, and
now we gotta
I
get
didn't
this.
want to. I was going to say that before, but I got distracted. But that character Ash, Tony, from the first one, he's back. Well, there's another android with the same actor in Alien Romulus.
So the same guy who was Bilbo was in a later one?
Digitally recreated.
Digitally
yes.
done, yeah.
Oh,
Because isn't he dead?
Yes, he died in 2020.
Because Newt's only in the second movie, correct?
Right.
Yes. And,
Right,
and by
she's
that
dead
point,
third.
I believe that Ian Holm, I don't know if he had dementia or if he had Alzheimer's, but I know for
Lord of the Rings.
when they did The Hobbit and they had him come back for the Hobbit film at the beginning where they recreated some of the stuff from the beginning of the Lord of the Rings. He had to be kind of coached through it. And the only reason that his wife allowed him to go back was because she knew that Peter Jackson and the cast would take care of him and not make him look bad because he was retired from acting. they just wanted him there to look the part and not really say much. He only had a couple of lines. He said
The
a
scene
couple
when he
of
holds the
words.
ring, right?
Yeah,
He's like, "Why shouldn't I keep it?" That kind of thing.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it was that part, and he was coached through the whole thing, and I believe that was his last on-screen role, because it had the dementia or the Alzheimer's had kind of taken over at that point. But yeah, he sadly passed away in 2020. So.
But cool. So then we'll do that. We'll do next week. We'll talk all things Alien, and that'll probably lead to Predator as well, because you can't have one without the other.
We'll have Chris Hansen on too. It'll be good.
So who
Yeah,
are we going? It's gonna be the three of us. Joe, Jose. We getting anybody else in on this?
I mean, maybe.
Let's say somebody put a call into James Cameron. Let's get his perspective.
Ask him why he let them do that. Fucking third movie.
James Cameron.
But yeah. So next week we'll do Alien and Predator. I'll put up I'll make a graphic for it. That'll be fun. Can't wait to do that. Tony, do you have anything to plug for next week? Do you have any ideas? I know we're doing a show.
No, yeah, this was a lot of fun, man. I love again, I love drinks and toys, but I do love the fact that we get to just absolutely demolish movies or pop culture and get to have John get all flustered about what's real and what's not, and then he Googles it. So no, man, it's fine. I love giving you shit, dude. I have a good time with it. I really do. This ran very long, which tells you it's great content, and there's more for next week. For drinks and toys coming up on Tuesday, I wish I had something. I really don't.
We never do.
We don't, because there's not enough information out there. Unfortunately, there's not enough going on in the toy world.
What do we have for drinks and toys next week?
The what?
On Tuesday, you said you wanted to do Transformers with Zach.
That's right.
We are. We're going to talk about, but I had to come up with that, like Titans Return, like Power of the Primes. I'm going to talk about movies that have been out for a while. I'm saying, like, we don't get enough, in my opinion, fresh content. There's not enough fresh out there to have a full hour of solid discussion, because we don't all have the same knowledge of what we're talking about.
That, and then at the same time, when it comes to drinks and toys, I think we have similar collections.
Sure.
But then we have very vastly different collections.
We have similar in regards. We all converge with Turtles.
Yep.
But when you separate away from Turtles, it's like I do XYZ, you guys do XYZ. It's just not, we don't collab. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Predator. I've got fucking wrestling.
Right. But I am excited. I do think Zach had a lot of great stuff last time, and I think he's going to have a lot to talk about with these three movies. And I think I'm going to sit back with a lot of popcorn and vodka and watch John and him just fucking go at it. That's what happened last time. You're like, motherfucker, I'm gonna Google everything he goddamn said.
No,
but I'm good. That's it. So
I'll reach out to Zach tomorrow, see if he's available.
Drinks and Toys Tuesday, Power of the Primes, Titans Return, and Combiner Wars. Definitely going to talk about that and everything that went into that, and the toys and the marketing, the memorabilia, and what have you. It was a good time. I actually didn't get to touch on what I wanted to tonight, which was with the Terminator, just very fast. Very fast. I wanted to talk about how, if you guys remember, when Batman Returns came out, we had Batman Returns cereal, right? We had Batman Returns snacks. We had all the toys, or not toys, I'm sorry, all the fast food franchises, McDonald's for sure, always gripped onto Batman. For that, Batman Forever, all that kind of crap, they always gripped onto it, and they did it. Terminator didn't happen. Now, Batman Returns came out later than Terminator, about 2 months to 3 months later that same year. Apparently, vice versa. I'm sorry, came out before Terminator that same year. Apparently, the argument was, I Googled it, the argument was parents were so upset about all of the merchandising and distribution and marketing to kids through this dark movie, which was Batman Returns, that Terminator did not jump on the franchise bandwagon. And so the only fast foods weren't really fast foods. If I'm not mistaken, when I looked it up, it was something like pizzas or Subway. Subway was doing Terminator 2. But McDonald's didn't grab it. Burger King didn't grab it. Anybody that you would have thought did not grab onto it.
Well, I mean, because I don't know that Terminator would have ever been the kind of movie that the fast food chains would have grabbed onto to begin with.
Batman got it just because it was a comic.
They could have done a value meal, right? They could have done an extra value meal.
But again, like Terminator 2, because you're talking specifically Terminator 2, not Terminator 1.
Correct.
Terminator 2 had other things. There was a cartoon. There were cartoon toys, right? There were a bunch of things that were added to it. Like Kenner did a whole line that was based on the movie, but also not on the movie.
Sure.
So like there were a lot of things. I don't remember if there was an actual cartoon, but the figures were cartoony, right? So like
there was a cartoon,
and not everything was based on what you would find at a McDonald's or a Burger King.
Because
I get it, but it was more. There wasn't a Batman Returns cartoon either, and Batman Returns.
No, but there was Batman animated series, and that's what it was. It was styled after that.
So I'll give you that, but without getting too far into it, Terminator had all these crazy ass toys that don't make sense. They were repurposed toys from Double Dragon, all these other timelines.
Catwoman and Max Shrek.
So there was a Batman animated series out before that?
No, Batman animated series came out after that, but it was based on that. Which is why it used the Danny Elfman theme, which is why the Penguin looks like Danny DeVito.
So were the toys?
They're based on the movie. The Happy Meal toys were based on the movie.
And my assumption would be that's because it was Batman.
Agreed. That's exactly what it was.
It's Batman. It's not Terminator. It's not kiddie friendly.
Right, because Terminator isn't kid friendly at all. Yeah. There wasn't like the comic book friendliness of the character. It's not.
But it's still crazy that they went so dark because the Batman Returns movie was so dark, and they still made the food, the mugs.
All that stuff was done beforehand, right? Like that's what the controversy was. Parents were like, "How could you have all this with this movie when it's so dark?" And it's like, this is what people are dumb because the '89 Batman movie was just as dark. Literally, it was just as dark.
But all they made was cereal.
But it was super, super popular. People were like, oh my God, this is what Batman's supposed to be. And so everybody wanted in on it for Batman Returns. So McDonald's paid a ton of money to license Happy Meal toys. Yep. And then the Happy Meal toys released right before the movie. So you had parents going to McDonald's and buying these Batman-themed Happy Meals before the movie came out. And then the movie dropped. And some of the mothers were like, oh my God, it's so violent and Batman is killing people and all these. Like, how could you have Happy Meal toys for this? It's not a kid's movie. Nobody said it was a kid's movie. Like, nobody. But that's when restrictions started to get tighter. Because if you look now, what a PG movie was back in the 80s would not be PG now. Right? Like,
what an R is now would have been a PG-13 back then.
Yes. And so, I mean, wasn't PG-13 made around that time? Because that one wasn't always there.
Yeah, it was always GR and then NC-17.
Let's see. Okay, so the PG-13 started in '84 because of the Temple of Doom, Gremlins, and Red Dawn. So...
Oh, Red Dawn is from South Park. Sorry. Damn.
Jesus Christ.
Let's see.
All right. Jesus Christ. Can we stop like Sigourney Typer over there? Jesus, dude. Get a quieter keyboard.
While you figure that out, so everybody join us next week for Alien and Predator talk. And join us Tuesday night for I guess we're talking Transformers. Oh God. I'll be there. I'm not going to sell out. I'll be there.
But, it's going to be a good time. I promise you. I'll be hammered. It'll be great.
I mean, that's usually the case. So, but Psycho, did you have anything you wanted to plug at all?
Yeah, Psycho.
No, I got nothing.
Yeah, got anything you want to?
I'm just proud. I'll just say this before we get out here that we went through this whole entire conversation about Terminator, and you did not go on your rant about the Terminator hog. I'm proud of you. Like, you were on that rant last week or on Tuesday. Like, I thought, I'm like, yo, he's gonna have all this time. He's gonna go a good segment about.
Listen. If you watch Terminator 1 with a good quality television, I didn't think this was going to be the case, but Chris brought it up. If your TV is 4K, if the video quality of what you're playing is good quality, You're gonna see a big old Arnold dong in the first thirst. That's probably the right way to say it. The first 10 minutes of the movie, when he's walking up to Bill Paxton, Bill Paxton was probably like, I didn't sign up for this. It was a twister because he was just walking and flopping for all he's worth. God bless him.
I'll say this final thing if I can. So apparently that was part of the issue. McDonald's believed that Batman Returns was going to be PG, and Tim Burton never intended for it to be PG, even though the studio told him to cut it to PG. He left it at PG-13, and that's why he was removed from Batman Forever and replaced with Joel Schumacher, who was given specific instructions to take Burton's script and make changes to make it a PG movie. The whole thing that was funny, though, is after Batman Forever didn't do well, they wanted to bring Tim Burton back to make a Superman movie.
Well, yeah, we all saw that.
That would never work. He is not a Superman guy. He is ultimately, he's 100% fitted for the Batman movies, and that's why we got such a great movie with Batman Returns.
But that's where we're supposed to be getting Nicolas Cage as Superman, right?
Yeah.
All right.
It's like,
the photos are out there of that too. Like he wore the suit. Like
they were so mad at him for not dropping Batman Returns to PG, and then a couple years later they're like, all right, we're just gonna bring you back to do Superman. It's like, then you weren't really mad, were you? Like you weren't actually mad.
All right, cool. So that's it. We're out of here. You guys, I'm gonna end this now. Y'all join us next week. It'll be even crazier. We promise.
It'd be a good time for sure.
Y'all come back now. You hear?